Welcome back to This is Brother here. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not doing builds per se. We are going to be talking about feats, spells, and all kinds of other cool stuff. But someone specifically asked me, and I want to say it was a dark magic. Apologize if I said that wrong or if I got your name wrong, kiddo. But someone asked me to literally go over my mods and to kind of talk about them. And that's basically what we're going to do today. So notice that I have downloaded new ones and have, of course, shut those off as well. We'll talk about that in this video. For the list from top to bottom, we have Bag of Tricks. This is how I literally force level characters up, gift them gear that's available in the game, just so I can kind of get a fleshed out character, feel what he's going to feel like at level 20, or 10, or whatever level you need to test them at. Again, this is a heavily abused system. It also can be used to make your mercenaries level, when mercenaries have a 25-point buy, for example, instead of a 20-point buy. Or you could lower it down to 15, or whatever you want to do. Even for your main characters, you can do the same thing. So there's a variety of things that Bag of Tricks accomplishes here. Not only giving XP, instant rest, all kinds of stuff. You can even summon monsters, if you didn't know this. Bag of Tricks is extremely useful for that reason. So you can test out against, if you know what type of monster to look for, or what CR you're looking for. You can have like a laundry list of bad guys that just drop at your feet, and then the fight's on like Donkey Kong. So you can test out a build, for example. Call of the Wild is something that I've just recently acquired. I've had it in the past, but this is the most recent version, I believe. There is still problems with it, so all these are mods, and as such, these are not supported by the devs. That doesn't mean the devs don't like them. It just means that when the devs fix something in the game, their first inclination is not to check all the mods to see if they're still compliant. That's not their job, and I don't fault them for it. And the same with the mods. If the modders get the chance to fix things, again, they usually, the better ones, including Call of the Wild, have been pretty responsive. When someone posts a bug, politely, of course, and say, hey, have you noticed that this is the thing? Usually they either tell you how you're wrong, or you're doing it wrong, or they'll tell you that it is always working as intended, which means it's not a bug and it's actually part of pen and paper, or they will tell you that, yeah, I didn't notice that, or I have no idea how to fix it. And again, we'll be happy, in most cases, I imagine, to take suggestions on how to fix it. So if you are the modder type, feel free to add your 2 cents to help them out. I like mods. For those of you that ever watched my Neverwinter Nights 2 videos, which are old as hell, and using like the original inborn microphone on my old computer, they suck, to put it bluntly. But it was my first attempt at YouTube, and I was having fun, so I don't mind. But I used mods heavily, and I wasn't a modder at all, by any stretch of the imagination. I did make my own mod. I did make it for nothing more than to change some pop-up tool text. I always hated, for example, how the spell books, they don't talk about who created the spells. Like Melf's Acid Arrow was the thing back when I played D&D pen and paper style. I mean, you referred to the original caster. Nonar's Fireball, I believe, was one of the other ones. And again, there's like a random list of wizards and whatnot that were Arcanus and whatnot that were like special. You know, like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, or who he remembers Otto's Irresistible Dance. Again, they weren't in the pop-up tooltips. They just said Irresistible Dance or Hideous Laughter, and that always felt like we were kind of screwing over the originals. So I made a mod that literally did nothing but change the tooltips, and I even color-coded it a little bit. So like I had stuff that was like, if it was like did fire damage, I tried to make the text red to pop out the fire part in the tooltip so you catch your eye. If it did like divine damage, I tried to make them gold. If it was poison damage, I made sure that it was purple. Stuff like this. And I know that's silly, but I think people liked it. I didn't finish it completely, but I got it pretty darn close. And I basically let it fall along the way, and I forgot how to do it, quite frankly. So I am not a modder, is my point. But again, I do appreciate when modders put in their effort, besides the cosmetic ones, and again, I'm not bashing them. I appreciate it. For example, you'll see even in here, I have the hair unlockers for obvious reasons. I have shut it off because again, I don't want to make sure things conflict. But I did like that one, and again, I like the fact that I had choices. You know, beards for other characters that didn't have beards, or their beard choices were kind of crappy in my opinion. The hair unlocker unlocks that too. Notice that we have Call of the Wild is going to add the 2 biggies, I should say here. Let's just go that route. It's Call of the Wild and of course Eldritch Arcana. This was the one I've been using. So when you see my modded videos up until the one I just recently posted, which is Call of the Wild friendly, you'll see that it's always Eldritch Arcana. Now you can actually get both of these to work together if you have the most recent versions of both, and of course you shut off all this other stuff. This one here, the Feats Codex, which again, as you see here, has a requirement, Call of the Wild. Same with Tweak or Treat, which is Call of the Wild and Races Unleashed, which I have, but again, I've shut them off. One of these, I think it's Feats Codex, interferes with Call of the Wild. It actually stops me, at least when I have it in Eldritch Arcana. Maybe there's a trick here. But with Eldritch Arcana, Call of the Wild, and Femai's Codex, I don't get all of my all my feats, and I don't get all of my classes. So stuff is missing. Like, for example, I don't get Arcanus, which Call of the Wild has added. I don't get Blood Ragers, which was the most recent video I posted, was a Dwarf Blood Rager build. Very long video, I apologize for that. But again, it's because, again, I'm not familiar with Call of the Wild, and again, I want to show you that there's a lot of cool stuff, and there's stuff that's still broken. Even with it working as intended right now, and again, I shut off Eldritch Arcana to prove this to myself, but Call of the Wild has a Blood Rager class. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Blood Conduit, I think is what it was. It was the power, or the name of the class, I can't remember which. But it basically has a Magus-like ability where you can take a touch attack and channel it through your unarmed strikes or your natural weapon, like if you had claws or a bite, for instance, or if you try to trip a target, or if you try to bull rush a target. It also had an ability where you could just release it, where if you were struck with a natural weapon or an unarmed strike, same general principle, but in reverse, it would discharge the touch attack, and I can't get it to work. So it is not because of Eldritch Arcana, because again, I've shut that off. Saved, reloaded, went back with just Call of the Wild on, and of course Bag of Tricks, but that should never be the issue. And again, doesn't do squat. And so maybe I'm doing it wrong. So again, grain of salt on a lot of these things here for when stuff works and doesn't work. So obviously I recommend that you go to the forums. And by the way, all of these are available, in case I didn't mention it before, on the Nexus. So just go Google and type in Nexus and type in Pathfinder mods, and you'll just find a laundry list of things. Way more than what I have here. And again, you may pick and choose as you please. They have modders that have decided that monks didn't get enough love. They have modders that have decided that the fighters were missing a lot of the grapples and fighter stances and stuff that fighters were known for. So again, pick and choose as you need, but know that the more you get, the more likely you are to have conflicts. So that's going to be an issue. I will go through, once we get into the game here, what Call of the Wild has to offer, and this is why this video is going to be so long, as well as mentioning, of course, the second biggest mod I have here, which is the Elvish Arcana Mod, which offers us a variety of other stuff as well. The reason I like Eldritch Arcana is it's the one that gives you traits. This is the ability to make yourself an undead character and all kinds of other cool stuff that we saw that you get for free. Gifting yourself a family heirloom, a weapon, for example, that you have training in because you studied with it all your life, and you just took it off the shelf and said, "See, Ma, I'm going to war," or whatever. And now you have a +1 magic weapon that was always Mom's favorite or Dad's favorite or your uncle's. You get the idea. And it was kind of cool. I kind of dug that idea. And just a little background here, for pen and paper version of D&D, and if we ever got around to doing Pathfinder, would be a house rule. Our DM, whether it's me or someone else, is you can submit, especially if it's a level 1 campaign where you start at level 1, you can submit a request for a single magical item and approved by the DM, or they will dumb it down. Like if you try to get like a Vorpal blade, that ain't happening. But I can give you like a +1 weapon, or I can give you a magic ring of like spell storing, or something lame, but something that you would have found in your earliest travels, where you started at level 1, which made you start to adventure. Maybe the first kobold you killed to give you 1 XP died at your feet because he was almost dead anyway, and he just happened to have a dagger +1 or something. You get the idea. For wizards, usually will, instead of giving them a magic weapon, wizards will routinely ask for like a few more scrolls. And whether they scribe it into their book or whether they just keep it as a scroll form, help out on that first level 1 to level 2 progression, hey, that's on them. But the point is usually ask for something, and we usually acquiesce to many of those requests. And we would do the same in this game, in my opinion. So the fact that you can start with Eldritch Arcana, and even Call of the Wild has added some stuff on there, and again, I'll show you that, where you can get like a magic ring or two. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it's something that in pen and paper games, we would do this. And if nothing more than to juice the thing along a little bit, because let's face it, level 1 to level 3 usually sucks ass. Especially for the caster types like your wizards, because they really don't get a whole lot until they start to get to level 2 spells on them. And hell, sorcerers get it even worse because they have to wait to level 4. So again, it's kind of to help juice up the team a little bit, make everyone feel like they're contributing. And again, infinite use cantrips was always a thing for us too. So the fact that it wasn't for pen and paper maybe is still something that we would have implemented, for example. Other stuff that you'll see is, again, with Eldritch Arcana, will be like a random spell or two. That's new. Call of the Wild, one reason I love it so much is not just the ridiculous number of classes that they've unloaded on us, as well as adding classes, or subclasses, if you will, to existing classes with like my Magus. There's normally 4. The Magus, the Eldritch Scion, my favorite, Sword Saint, which is my probably second favorite, and the Eldritch Archer. They've added like 2 more to like every other class out there, including the Magus, which is freaking awesome. So I love Call of Wild for that reason alone. Then they added even more feats. Same with Eldritch Arcana. They added a ton of feats, but Call of Wild added a ridiculous amount more, which is super fun. We're going to go through those today. And they also added retarded number, and I cannot stress this enough, of spells. Now, they may not all work. They may not all work beautifully. And again, with them in Eldritch Arcana, you may have some conflict. So that could be, again, part of the reason. But for when they do work, or when they get close enough that you can figure out what they're really doing, even though the tooltip might be like off a little bit, they're amazing. There's spells, for example, that were in the pen and paper version of the game that we would always use. Obscuring Mist, fine example, an amazing early level spell. Just a cloud bank dumped on the bad guys, where like ranged attacks are at penalty or disadvantage, or however you want to rule it. Was an amazing spell and was missing from the vanilla version of this game. So Call of the Wild adds stuff like that in there. Sleet Storm. Obscuring thing, Solid Fog, other ones again added as a result of this mod. Amazing stuff that I miss, and I really like when they work, or they're at least close enough that I can pretend like they work. So again, amazing mods for those 2 alone, which is again why you see I have them. Of course, highlight Learnable Scrolls. We got a lot of quality of life improvement stuff in here. This is the one where, again, if it's on, which it is, if you are a person who can scribe, and that's usually like your alchemists. There's that specific rogue, the Eldritch Scoundrel, Sword Saints, all Magi, except for the Eldritch Scion for that matter. And of course, wizards of all types can scribe into their spellbook. I think Arcanus can too, but I don't know that off the top of my brain. Point is, they can scribe scrolls. Well, in the vanilla version of the game, you had no idea which ones you needed to scribe. You literally had to go through the laundry list, go right-click and say, does it say scribe it? No. Next one, right-click, scribe it? Yes, then scribe it. Next one, right-click. It became fiddly. This one just lights them up. So if you can scribe it, it gets a little color-coded system. It's just a tiny shade of pink or whatever, purple. It lets you know, hey, this is something you wanted. Oh, cool. Click, click. Now, the downside of this is that while it works beautifully, there is a glitch. For example, let's take a Sword Saint as a fine example. You can cast spells level 6 on down. There's a new spell, comes from either Eldritch Arcana or Call of the Wild, can't remember which, and it's in scroll form, and it is, I think, called Bombardment. It's like a level 9 spell, level 7 spell, something like that, something higher than the Sword Saint could cast, is my point. And it says, hey, you can scribe this, and you do, and you scribe it, and it's in your spellbook, and now you can't use it, because it's in your spellbook. You used up the scroll, and you can't cast that high of a spell. So there's just some glitches, so there's some learning curve stuff that you'll have to appreciate, quite frankly. Notice they even have camera rotation. You notice I have it shut off because Call of the Wild has its own camera rotation, I believe, built into it. I don't use it, but in my playthrough I have used it heavily, because sometimes you just need to rotate the whole map just to see where the bad guy is around the corner, so you can line stuff up to shoot him with a Dragon's Breath, for example, to get him in the cone. So again, that is extremely helpful. And again, I believe I heard that Call of the Wild has that, but I haven't explored that. Other stuff, Fumai's Codex and Tweak or Treat were recent additions. I haven't even dipped into them because, again, they were breaking my game as far as Call of the Wild stuff, so I actually just shut them off. But again, recommend you look them up, find out if they're worthwhile for you. And again, just because it's breaking some of the Call of the Wild stuff doesn't mean that matters to you. I'm missing the Arcanus, for example. I was missing Blood Ragers and some other stuff, I'm sure, as well. But having all the other stuff that these things may provide may work beautifully for what you're using it for. As long as that's okay, what I would suggest for anyone that uses mods, obviously these are PC players, for anyone that's using mods, I always recommend saving frequently. Hard save, no less, not just the quick save bullshit. No, I mean, boom, say save, give it a name, the date, whatever you were doing or whatever, because when you come across, God forbid, the game crashing mod, and you're like, well, that doesn't work. And I have seen an example of this, by the way, and I'll give you one when we level your character up. But when I've seen that crash, that just screws you over completely. And you're just like, well, when was the last time I saved? Oh, hell, that was like an hour ago. And man, that sucks. It really, really does. So always save. Frequently save, quick save, auto save on, often, and then, of course, hard save every chance you can. Within reason, of course. Other stuff to point out here, like your, again, quality of life stuff like your hair unlocker, the different races. While that's not quality of life so much as just wanting to delve into like being a gobbo or an undead, I think even falls in this category now. There's like a variety of races that unlock with this little bastard. And it's quite cool. I mean, let's face it. I mean, who didn't want to play like an undead knight? Again, it's one of the reasons I love my Eldritch Arcana, because I can make an undead character with a curse. And I can do that at level 1. And I find that fun, and I find that amusing. A respecialization, an amazing quality of life improvement. So when you literally patch stuff in like this and said, oh, I always wanted Valerie to be a blah, but she's not. She's this crappy fighter that she is, right? The tower shield specialist. So you can take with respecialization, if it's on, you can literally take a character down to 0 HP and 0 levels and then start leveling them back up. You literally have to kind of fiddle around with their abilities because they get kind of wonky. So I recommend at level 1 abilities that they would have, like for strength, dex, and blah blah. If you're happy with them, write down the numbers, because respecialization and bag of tricks, one of the two, will allow you to take them down to 0, start leveling them up to level 1 to whatever you were at when you exempt them back down, and then give them their abilities up to the points that you want. So if it doesn't match up beautifully, you can basically force it to match. Because again, Valerie, for example, is a fine example, because she does not have a 25 point buy. She has more, because she has like a con of like 19 or something ridiculously high. She has a crappy strength of 14 and just very weird abilities all around. But because of that high, ridiculously high con stat, she literally gets a lot more than she should. And it's kind of funny. And I think there's a couple others that are like that too. I want to say Jubilos might be one. Definitely Octavia, I believe, is one as well, where her point buy is all wonky as hell. So I would write down what their numbers are. And again, if you wanted to keep to the same general theme, go for that. I try not to get crazy on this, but some of these modders, for example, like Call of the Wild, they have so many different classes that they have made suggestions for how you can level or respec, if you will, say Valerie or Harem into a different class altogether, not even a cleric, like a completely different guy who has cleric-like tendencies, but he's not a cleric, he's more of a magus with cleric powers. Very cool, and again, I'll show you some of those classes when we get into it. But again, a lot of these things are extremely useful, but not necessary. Turn-based combat, for example, until they released as mod, the dev team, made the game turn-based combat once it became viable for console. When they did that, they patched it again into the vanilla version of the game for PC, which I appreciate. It's a little hard to figure it out at first, but once you get used to it, it's super fun. I was enamored with turn-based combat, though, once I finally got this mod working. And until they patched it in, this was my go-to. And this was an amazing way for me to beat the game. The game is by itself, I find, fast, which is nice. Even like a 2-hour game or 200-hour game, it was extremely difficult not to have turn-based combat for me. And it's not because I have like a disability or anything. And again, I'm not picking on people. I'm just saying that's another reason for wanting turn-based combat. And I appreciate when games add it. But the real time with pause is way too fiddly. It gets way too much cluster piley. But turn-based combat, again, more like pen and paper, where it's like, okay, it's your turn, initiative, roll initiative, and that happens. And it doesn't, again, in real time with pause, it's just so hard to control, so many things going on that usually it's just a grab everybody, point, click, kill that guy, grab everybody, point, click, kill that guy. No one's using battle tactics anymore. It's just maul that dude till he's dead, okay, switch targets, maul that dude till he's dead, okay, switch targets. And if you can't kill him quickly, it turns into, oh, we're not tough enough to beat these guys, so we'll come back later. Or it turns into pre-buff up like through the friggin' nines, and then rush in and mow over everybody with the same general tactic of drag everybody, click and kill that guy, and drag everybody, click and kill that guy, and then drag everybody. You see what I'm saying? It gets boring to me. So I love the turn-based combat. It's off because, again, there's no need with it being in the vanilla version of the game now. As far as other stuff, let's actually get into a new game, show you what I'm talking about for some of this cooler stuff. Okay, so we'll just make a random character and show you what these guys have offered us. So what are we going to make? Doesn't matter, because this is just for utility purposes. Let's just pretend like we're making a character. Notice the normal races here, nothing different, because I have not turned on the extended races. So these are the typical ones that you guys had access to. So we'll just keep moving along. Notice all the different stuff we have access to. So let's walk down the list. Alchemist. The typical 4 still here. Notice we have Preservationist and Toxicant. Now, I'm not going to read all these things to you, but for example, the Preservationist looks like they have the ability to bottle up was this Animal Companion? No, Summon Nature's Ally. So you can see they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so probably 6 levels. No, they go all the way up to level 9. Oh my god, that's awesome. So literally they just have pocket pets, if you will. And it's not like the ones that have animal companions. These are literally just spells that are bottled up. So they just throw out an extract, and that extract happens to be, like, oh, look I got dogs for I'm at command. Poof, there they are. Just like they had those spells. So these are the Druid spells, the Summon Nature's Allies type stuff. And again, it's cool. They still got their bombs. They still got their discoveries. A nice addition to the game. I don't know how pen and paper friendly this is, but usually I find that these guys are pretty close when they try to include a class or subclass like this. It's because something was always missing from the game. Not, I want a Jedi Knight. No, it's never that. It's always, we need psychics, and we do have psychics in this game now. So again, really, really cool that they added this stuff. Toxicant, another version of kind of like the Vivisectionist. So notice this one here. Difference is that they have the ability to make poisons. Like, quite frankly, I always assumed an alchemist should. And can, of course, use that to probably coat their weapons, is my guess here. And they have their typical buffs and whatnot. But again, the ability to secrete poisons and buff them probably is what this is all about. Kind of cool. Moving on, notice that there's an animal. Now, we can't pick it. Why? Because you're not an animal, for one. And this is probably so the modder can make things like the Eidolon is another example. So is the Phantom. Those are things that fall under either probably the Summoner for sure, but also probably the Spiritualist is my guess. And this is just so that the game has the ability to make your Eidolon. See that? Or the ability to make your animal. And then you can custom make those animals or Eidolons or their Phantoms, for example. Which again, I thought was cool. This is a lot coming from Call of the Wild. Arcanus, again, something that's completely new. Now this one's weird. I'm trying to remember everything about this, and I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, but I want to say that Arcanus are kind of like a mismatch of wizard and sorcerer all in one. So that they have a spell book, I want to say, but they also have like infinite casting. But what it is each day you still prepare your spells. So like a wizard, you'll say, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this, so I have that. And then you have spell slots a day, like a sorcerer would, and you say, oh, I can cast, let's say Magic Missile was one of my level 1 spells that I picked for that day. I can cast that 5, 6, 7 times, whatever, just like a sorcerer could. So this is, again, a hybrid, if you will, and it's very cool. I kind of dig them. And again, the School Savant, Blood Arcanist, I'm not going to go through all the things, but again, you can see the laundry list of stuff that they have access to, and some very cool stuff. I particularly like the Summon one here. Conjurer's Focus, the Occultist, getting the ability to just straight up summon monsters. And again, pretty badass, just to steer you away from some of the other ones that come later, like when we talk about Wizard. Where you got the Wizard? Arcane Bomber, one of the worst subclasses ever. Someone may say otherwise. These things suck. I'm sorry. They are way too limited. If you're going to play that kind of a bomber, you really are better off playing an alchemist of some kind that has bombs. Grenadier being my favorite. So everybody's different. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Grenadier's not going to have access to level 9 spells like this Wizard's going to. But it's still one of those where these bombs suck. They don't do much to add to your build. You have to take 4 schools of penalty to take it, which really sucks. It just gets more fiddly than it's worth, just for some random bombs. And the bombs are one of 4 elements. You get like cold or acid or electric or fire. And that's it. And yeah, they get better as you level up, but ring-a-ding-ding, so does every other spell and buff that I get for all my other classes. So who cares that I can suddenly throw some better bombs? Pfft. They're not like Jubilos. Jubilos will destroy shit with his bombs. These ones, nah. No, the Arcane Bomber's a terrible idea. Other stuff, Barbarians. You got your Barbarian, your Armored Hulk, Mad Dog, and Invulnerable Rager, I believe, are always original in the vanilla version of the game. But Untamed Rager, which is pretty badass. We got some feral appearance. Looks like you get the ability to like maul some guys. No, it looks like just a bonus to Intimidation. Dishonorable, what we got here. Dirty Tricks. Oh, nice. And again, this is just some flavor stuff. Beastkin, Berserker, so it sounds like you probably turn into an animal or get some animal buff. Yeah, feral transformation. So as you rage, probably you turn into an animal or get some animalistic abilities and like maul stuff like a tiger or whatever. So again, more flavor. Bard, again, the Bard, Archaeologist, Thundercaller, and Flame Dancer are all here. And they may have changed these, by the way. I should have pointed this out. You may notice changes. For example, I want to say that the Thunderclaw was an example of a change. This versatile performance, I don't remember that. But he has it here for Bard too, and again, I know that's not in Bard, so I'm fairly certain that Call of the Wild did change that. Now that may be a mistake, as far as compared to my original builds. You may not see stuff in here that you were used to seeing, so again, it kind of sucks that he changed those out. But again, that's part of using the mod. So again, if you're not wanting to use that, then well, guess what? You're not using Call of the Wild. But Arrow Song Minstrel and Dirge Bard, where you literally use songs to like raise the dead of the bad guys you just killed to turn to fight his enemies, which is freaking hilarious, and I love that idea. This is a very, very cool mod. Blood Rager, this is the one that, like I said, just like the Arcanus, was missing if I had that extra mod activated. But again, Blood Rager, Meta Magic Rager, Spell Eater, Steel Blood, that's the build I just made. Urban Blood Rager is one of my favorites, and Blood Conduit is broken, just so we're clear on this. So again, this is an example of one that I know that there's an issue, and it's this ability here. Nope, that's not it. This one? Well, this is one of them. Reflexive Conduit. So at this level and higher, you can literally take a touch attack, channel it into your body, and if you're wearing light or no armor and you get hit by a natural weapon or an unarmed attack, it discharges the spell into the bad guy. I don't know why you would want to do this. It's like setting up a bomb in your body for when I do get hit, haha, fuck you. The reverse, the one where you can channel it through your attacks, is the one you want, and you get that as you level up too, which is this one here. So again, as a ranged touch attack, you as a free action, channel it into yourself while raging. At least that's what I was seeing online, because I'm trying to figure out how to work it. It doesn't work. But if you're wearing light or no armor, and I was wearing no armor, you can use an Unarmed Strike. So again, I can punch like a monk and Unarmed Strike them, and it would deliver the touch attack, kind of like a Magus does with their channeling a touch attack through their weapon. But this is every touch attack that the game had to offer for a Blood Rager, which was quite a big list thanks to this mod. Doesn't work. No matter how many different permutations I tried, I cannot get it to work. I tried tripping, I tried bull rushing, I tried just punching in the snoot, I tried stripping all the armor off. I even took robes off, thinking, well, maybe it's confused with the fact that it's armored robes. Took that off where I'm like butt-ass naked. Still couldn't do shit. I was doing punches, I was doing claw attacks, because I was an abyssal bloodline. In the Blood Ragers, you pick a bloodline much like a sorcerer does. And I was getting claws for free, so when you rage, instead of punching 4 times in a row by the end of level 20 build, I was clawing twice. Another thing I wasn't a fan of. There's actually, turns out, a way to get it up to 3 attacks. I'll show you that when we talk about feats. And again, something that was added because of this mod. But without knowing that, I was thinking I got really screwed, because I'm like, well, claws are nice and all, but I'd rather punch him in the face 4 times than claw him twice. So it was kind of like, what the hell? So again, there's stuff it may not be a glitch or a broken mod or anything like that. It could just be the way the modder interpreted the information. And again, if you post politely in the Nexus, where you download the mod, they will probably respond and say, working as intended. If you see that, then it really is doing what it's supposed to. But if you're specific, if you point out, like for example, I'll probably get on eventually here and show them that I tried every different way to do Spell Conduit, as well as the Reflexive Conduit. I tried keeping Rage off before the fight starts, having Rage on before the fight starts, turning Rage on after the fight starts, then buffing, then attacking, then doing this, then clicking it. Like I literally have a laundry list. I got a page here where I got like 11 or 12 different permutations of what I tried to do, and nothing worked. I tried switching out spells, because I had Shocking Grasp was the one I was using, thinking, well, that's the vanilla spell. Surely it would work for that. I tried the newest spells, the one that came from Call of the Wild. So again, nothing was working for me. So I'll post exactly what I tried and say, this is the mod that I'm using. I literally tried this using just this mod and of course Bag of Tricks to force level my character, and it would not work. What am I doing wrong? Show me the order. How do you click this, then click this, activate that power, do this, etc. and so forth. And if they walk me through it and I still can't repeat it, well then I guess there's nothing I can do. This is a damn shame, because it did sound cool. But it's going to be, again, something that you want to test before you just say, I'm going to start a new playthrough with this Blood Conduit. I'm going to be baller. I already have it set up in my head, so I don't even have to get on and force level the character up. I'll just play the game, and then you find out that 2 of your main abilities don't even work. Fuck that. That sucks. That's why we test stuff. So, Cleric. Notice that you got Crusader, Herald, Caller, Ecclesiarch. I don't know if those are all vanilla version. I think they were. Undead Lord and Evangelist, though, fucking nice new ones. An Undead Lord, I always felt like a Necro Lord was missing from the game, and here would be a good Necro Lord, an Undead Lord. Someone that literally has death magic. You don't get a second domain. Wow, you just basically are all about the death. And again, you're going to get Command of the Undead, a new ability. You're going to get unlife healer, so you can heal undead. Bonus feats that are, of course, all about, channel smite even. What? Nice. And again, you're going to get a variety of things. And clerics are always really good at having both conjuration spells, which are usually healing spells, and necromancy spells, which are the anti-life spells. So again, Undead Lord could be a really, really good one if you want cleric. Druid, again, Druid Blight, Druid Defender of the True World, and Face Speaker, I believe, are vanilla. Storm Druid, Nature Fang, probably one that stays mostly in animal form is my guess. Oh, no, it's not. Wow, there's the straight up pissed off ones that hate people. And they get sneak attack for free. What is this craziness? Storm Druid, though, again, my phone agrees, pretty badass. And again, you're going to have a variety of different things, like the wild shapes and stuff have been changed. As well as, for spells, by the way, those, what do they call them? It's not animal body, it's something like that. The beast form, beast shape, something like that, 1 through 4, let's just say, have been modded. Where originally it was like, you turn into a wolf, you turn into a bigger wolf, you turn into a kitty cat, you got suddenly bear by like the highest one, and it's like, what's this lame ass shit? So they decided, no, that's not cool. So most of those forms, you'll see that they have like 2 forms to pick from now. Like you can be a wolf or a leopard, or you could be a saber-toothed tiger or a bear, or whatever. I'm not quoting it here, I'm just saying you'll see multi changes to just your spells that were vanilla spells to begin with. So again, keep an eye out for that stuff. It's quite cool. Again, Eidolon, that's not you, that's your pet that you summon if you play a summoner. I don't know if that's for every summoner, but most, if not all of them, will get an Eidolon. And for those of you who don't know what a summoner is, I mean, it's a watered down wizard, and so obviously it's going to have summon spells, and probably things all about conjuration, but they also get I don't want to call it like a pocket pet or a Pokemon. Basically, they get it's not even a familiar even, or animal companion for that matter, but animal companion is probably the closest analogy. You get a permanent buddy. Let's just say it that way. What kind you get is up to you. Again, it's picked when you pick your Eidolon. But notice that you can modify or mutate, if you will, your buddy as you get levels of summoner. What that means is you get what they call, I think, evolution points, and those are allowed to increase your Eidolon at each stage. So at level 1 through level 20, you're steadily giving him buffs, and you can change that every time you get a new level. So like maybe at level 4 you give him the ability to like claw bad guys, and you decide that that's not that cool. So at level 5 you take those away and give him something different. So every time you level up him, or it, let's just say it that way, then you will be able to re-spend those points. And you can buy points, and you can get extra points, and some stuff costs 1 point, some costs 2 or 3 points. The better the buff or the upgrade, the more it costs. Some you can double stack, like you can give them strength and you give them even more strength. You can make them like very, very big, very, 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 very big, and just make them just god-awful giant monsters that you basically do Master Blaster shit where you're riding on his back. Maybe not, but in pen and paper you can. And again, it's very, very cool. Eidolons, again, as you can see, they get these extra upgrades and stuff, armor, physical prowess, and so forth. You can even unlock, I don't want to say skills per se, but I mean, it is clearly listed here as extra class skills, but more of like how you have perception. Your wolf or your Eidolon, which is wolf-like, should have perception, so you can upgrade it. For example, give them better senses, if you will. So that'll be something that you can upgrade with points. And again, you'll see that it's just a constant mismatch of stuff. And it's a little weird that I think that if it dies, you lose like half your health or something funny like that. If you take damage, it takes damage or something, like you guys are linked in some way. So it's not just your buddy or your pet, it literally is your essence or half of it inside this monster. And there's a very cool upgrade when you get to, just hop to it real quick, when you get to Summoner at the highest level, you get like the Twin Eidolon, where literally you turn into your Eidolon. How weird is that? So like you made him awesome, and then you can turn into him. So there's 2 of you guys running around being awesome, which is freaking cool. I don't know how it works because I haven't looked into it yet, but it sounds badass. So again, some really, really cool stuff coming from Eidolon. Fighters, all these were normal. Drill Sergeant, that's a new one. Pretty badass, and I got a feel that he's going to be like a team support guy, tactician, sure enough. Lore Warden, what the hell are you about? Lore is the consummate warrior scholar of the Explorers Society, outsmarting her competition even when locking blades with our foes outside of combat. And Lore Warden's extensive education all helps her document the past 5 great danger. Right on. Cool weapon training stuff, the typical fighter stuffs. Sword secret. Ooh, my. Ooh, that looks new and cool. Definitely could be fun. Hunters, new class altogether. A hunter, divine hunter, forester, fey killer, primal companion hunter, and feral hunter. Sounds like a ranger, but clearly not. Looks like we're going to get an animal companion, so it feels like a ranger, but again, probably not. But again, haven't looked into it enough to understand what it really does, but sounds badass. Inquisitors, those are still here. Notice that we even added demon hunter. I say we, like I did something. As well as sanctified slayer. Again, sneak attack, loving that. But the demon hunter, that one could be pimp. And I'm assuming you get some extra buffs for fighting outsiders. But again, it's probably the staple. You get your, what the hell is it called? The judgments. And you get your cleric-like spells, level 1 through 6. And of course, there's cantrips as well. So again, love me some Inquisitor action. And again, spontaneous caster, much like a Eldritch Scion. One of the reasons I love these guys so much. Investigator, that's a completely new class. I haven't looked into them at all. These guys look like they could be pretty badass. I thought this was Inquisitor when I first clicked it, going, oh, the Inquisitor's got a new name, and then I realized there was 2. And I'm like, what the hell are these guys? So again, as you can see, a retarded list here again. All new stuff. And Investigator talents. Looks like we got some study strike. Oh, I thought that was going to sneak attack. Okay, cool. So something slightly different there. Poison resistance, poison immunity. Danger sense. Feels like a rogue, but it's not a rogue, I'm guessing. But it's very similar, which is cool. And we got psychic detective. That sounds badass. Kineticist, I hate you. But they've added more. So again, the original 4, I believe, or 3 maybe, were here, and then they've added a couple more. Magus, got some loving. Notice we got not only the typical 4, we got 3 more. We got Mind Blade, Eldritch Scion, Blood Rager. That sounds badass. Sounds like we're going to rage as well as cast spells and all that cool shit. I wonder if it has a bloodline. It does have the bloodlines. Even the aberrant bloodline. Oh, holy shit. So it has the Faded, the Destined. Yeah, that Destined one's a really good one, by the way. Anyway, so we got new ones. Mind Blade. This is, from what I understand, the Psychic Magus, where they literally, instead of having a weapon, you have a psychic projection of a weapon. So when I show you, when I go into the bag of tricks and we start looking up like long swords, and at the very bottom you'll see, you won't say psychic longsword, you'll say projection longsword or something weird like that. And that's what that one is. It's not that you give it to yourself, it's you summon it with this ability that the Mind Blades have. And it's cool because you literally always have your weapon, which sounds badass. And you get probably some psychic spells as well, as my guess, because there are psychic spells in this game now, which is freaking sweet. So again, some really cool stuff that you get to have here, like Rapid Manifest. Here you go, your Mind Blade can manifest 1 psychic weapon as a swift action. So obviously you don't have your weapon, you don't have your weapon just out. You just, when you need your weapon, you summon it into your hands, psychic style. And again, for those that want to play like a, what's the character from the comics? Psylocke from the X-Men, who has like psychic katanas or ninja knives or whatever, depending on which version you have. She has psychic projections of weapons. Telekinetic usually, but doesn't have to be, sometimes they're just telepathic projections, but they still will ruin your shit. And again, this would be how you play that character and feel like it, in my opinion. The question I would have is, could you make this version worthwhile without armor? And it doesn't look like they have access to armor, so maybe you will. Maybe you have no choice. Let's see, what does it say? It says you're still proficient with light armor. And then you get medium and heavy later, but I don't see it here. Maybe it unlocks later on, though. But again, and usually when the modder has added something, they're really diligent about their tooltips. I'll be real clear on this. Usually the tooltips tell you what you need to know. If you're not reading the tooltips, and I'm guilty of this all the time, chances are if I read the tooltips, they tell me what to do. Like, for example, I picked a Blood Rager ability the other day when I was making the video, matter of fact, for today, and I realized that, it says in the tooltips, this will only work in the spells that you get, which were like only 4 spells you get as you level up free, because it's part of your bloodline spells, or any spells that you have spell focus in. And that was the clue. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't grab spell focus. Spell focus evocation, suddenly I'm doing all kinds of extra damage. It wasn't amazing damage, but it was missed. And I'm like, this was broken. No, it wasn't. It was perfectly fine. I just wasn't reading the tooltip. So again, stuff like that is important. Read your tooltips. These guys know what they're doing. 9 times out of 10 anyway, I'd say. And sometimes, the reason I mention that is sometimes they'll even point out, like, in the tooltip, they'll tell you this replaces, you know, heavy armor or whatever. So you'll be like, oh, that's what they meant. So literally it was a pen and paper version as best they can make it. We even have a nature bonded magus, which sounds like you're going to get some druid spells probably as you level up, which could be cool. Or maybe not druid, maybe more ranger. But again, you're going to have abilities that make you feel like you're in tune with nature more than a typical magus would be, which is awesome. Monk. Once we got our scale fist monk, sensei, traditional monk. Also, I did mention in a previous video, I would tell you guys a trick. I had made a video where I was like, well, I'm going to use a monk dip. I think I was a sword saint. And I was what I call a psi saint. I like to rename the sword saints because sometimes I don't use swords. So I'm using it as a psi saint where the magic weapon of choice was a psi. And the reason that I would pick a psi was because psi suck. Just to be real clear on this. They crit on nat 20. Sword saints and all other magus should probably find the best crit range weapon they can find. Which, again, for most meleeers are going to be like your scimitars, your rapiers, your kukri. There's exceptions to the rule, like there's a solid longsword theme, which I made on my last playthrough. You can also make a good dueling sword, because there's like 1 or 2 in the game, that have a natural crit range of 18, 19, 20, which means if you if you keen weapon it, you can actually get it, or improve critical weapon it, you can actually get it to the full crit range of 15 to 20, which is the best in the game, which is crit fishing, was what you do for a magus build. So you can do that, but you don't have to. So like you could be an unarmed striking sword saint, where you do like fist saint, I guess, where you're just punching and kicking and shit, which I have done, and they suck. But I did it because I wanted to try it. But I'm like, well, you know what? There's a really good psi in the game. I know of it. And again, I like that psi because it's the only one in the game, only weapon in the game that gives you double speed, which is called greater speed, which means you get, instead of 1 free attack in a round, you get 2 free attacks in a round. That doesn't sound amazing, but now hear me out. I went from attacking 3 times in a round to 4 or 5 times in a round, and then if you did something like cast a transformation on yourself, I could get up to 6 attacks in a round with 1 weapon in 1 hand and still get all my monkey goodness. So I went sword saint 19 levels total and 1 level dip into, I want to say it was traditional monk, and thinking that I'm going to get even more, because as you know, if you use any kind of monk, scale fist monk, or traditional monk, you get flurry of blows at level 1 with any monk weapon. Guess what is a monk weapon? A sai, or nunchucks, or kamas, which are decent choices, or a quarterstaff, which is a decent choice, or a unarmed strike, which again is a decent-ish choice. And all those weapons, all of them crit on a natural 20, and that's it. So they all suck for being a sword saint build, but it was still fun, and I wanted to try it out. But I forgot, I didn't read the tooltip, because I was going a dex-based route, and there's a tooltip for, what's it called? Fencing Grace with a psi. There's 2 of them. There's 2 feats. One called Slashing Grace, one called Fencing Grace. What those do, for those of you that make a weapon finesser and a dex-based build, normally when you weapon finesse, you get your dex modifier, if it's higher than your strength, of course. You use that for your attack bonus, for trying to hit the target, but it does nothing for your damage. Your damage still comes from your strength stat, which sucks, because your strength is probably the stat you throw in the toilet. It's like level a strength of 10 or 8 or 6 or even 7, whatever, but it's low is the point. So it's not going to give you any extra damage. So you're like, well, this sucks, why would I go this route? Well, if you grab a feat, and that feat is called Fencing Grace or Slashing Grace, depending on the type of weapon that you're using, you can add your dex modifier to your damage now. But if you read the tooltip, and you should read the tooltip specifically says you cannot flurry of blows that weapon. So if you have flurry of blows, which this one did, because I went traditional monk and I had that 1 dip in there, you do not get to put that psi in your hand and get your dex modifier. So I was expecting my dex modifier and it wasn't there. I'm like, what the hell? This game is busted. This game is busted. No, it wasn't. I didn't read the tooltip. What's worse, the tooltip goes on to further say it's not just flurry of blows that screws this up. If you 2-weapon wield, you can't get your dex modifier. If that straight up sucks, yo, because I've done me some 2-weapon wielding builds, and a couple sides in each hand is some fucking Ninja Turtle shit action, and to take that away from me, I'm like, what the hell? So again, read your tooltips. Your tooltips are important. But again, I told you I'd show you a trick. So let's show you the trick. Sensei, if I would have went Sensei, there is no flurry of blows for Sensei. You still get all your cool monkey goodness. You know, your extra armor from high wisdom, your ability to unlock, like you get improved unarmed strike for free, you get stunning fist for free, and you get a monk feat for free, which could be anything from like dodge, to crane style, crane wing, crane riposte, all that shit. And again, you do not have to meet most of the requirements. So again, it's really, really powerful. Like if you don't have a dexterity build, like for some weird ass reason you went for a strength based build, I can get dodge here for free. So there's some really weird stuff that you can do with a monk dip, and senseis are no exception to that rule. It's quite powerful, but people don't normally take it because again they get that flurry of blows like I had in my head that I wanted. So if I did that build again where I did Sai Saint, I would literally not do 20 levels of Sword Saint. I would do 19, and somewhere in there I would throw in 1 level of Sensei, because it would still give me the monk abilities. It would be really, really powerful, and I'd have lots and lots of armor, and I would feel super protected while running through the game solo. And it would only take probably to like level 4 or 5 to really be able to feel like I could solo the game. And I have done so with something similar, so I know that if it's better, which of course this build would be better, that I would be better at the game. So again, remember, think about what I just said. I went from taking a character that I soloed the game with, who had a subpar weapon, because I thought I was going to, I took a feat, I have words, I have the best words. I picked a feat that was useless, thinking I'm going to get that really pretty dex modifier that I had, which was probably at the time a solid, let's see, 16 plus 4, so 20, so plus 5 extra damage per smack. And I was getting extra attacks thanks to flurry of blows. And I'm like, I'm going to be shredding shit left and right. Turns out I wasn't. And what the hell? And I still managed to beat the game. So if I can do that with a subpar build, something that I screwed up because I wasn't paying attention to the tooltips, writing that wrong, suddenly I'm sure I could beat the game. So again, would have been fun. So definitely coolness. Notice even other things too. This was also when I beat that game back then, way back when solo. I didn't have these mods kicked in. So I didn't have like traits for one. So like I could get myself sneak attack. I can make myself undead. I can do a variety of shit that I couldn't do before. I had meta magics that I didn't have thanks to this mod, or both mods. So again, like meta magic intensified was missing. You know, so stuff that I could have critted, I could have channeled through my weapon like a sword saint does, and instead of doing 5d6 of shock damage, I could have bumped that fucker to 10d6. That's power. That's definitely some way I could have sold the game a lot easier. So again, I was missing a lot of stuff that I have access to now. So again, some really cool stuff that you can do if you're really paying attention to those tooltips. But notice they've even added Zen Archer, so obviously you use your wisdom, I'm assuming, to shoot stuff, attack bonus wise, instead of your dex or strength, I'm guessing. But again, pretty neat stuff here, and an upgrade to your stuff. Point Blank Master as a bonus feat, fuck yeah. Well, again, you can see how much fun it'd be to be dart throwing or a javelin throwing son of a bee. Now, in the weapon categories here, I wonder if they tell us what kind of weapons. Oh, longbows and short bows, long composites. So it looks like you'd probably be able to throw darts, you'd probably be able to throw axes, and you'd probably be able to shoot bows, but not crossbows, not crossbows. Which, I'm fine with that. I wouldn't want to have Zen proficiency and use the crossbow anyway. They would feel like I'm cheating myself. I'd definitely double up on all that bow, and it probably is a flurry of blows in here for bow shooting. Yeah, Jesus, look at that flurry of blows with a bow shot. But notice you can't use rapid shot or mini shot when making flurry of blows with this bow. Ah, boo. Because rapid shot would be the same thing. It wouldn't be a penalty. You just get an extra shot though, and it would be like a -2 to all your shots. And mini shot's an extra arrow if the first one hits. So I'd rather have these two, quite frankly. But I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be fine with the flurry of blows. But it'd be cool. Monk of the Mantis, I have no idea what this thing is. What does this one tell us? Body contains many points where the flesh, mind, and spirit coincide. The Monk of the Mantis is skilled in manipulating these points. Ooh, pressure point. Oh, I feel like a Dimmock death touch coming up. Stunning fist paralyzed, stunning fist stagger. Ooh, baby. He even got himself some sneak attack lub. Monks and sneak attack. Oh my. Debilitating blows. Purity of body. Oh, that would be a fun one. I would love playing a Monk of the Mantis. Oracles. I don't remember if this was a vanilla version of the game or if it's something that was imported with the Eldritch Arcana, but I remember I got into it a while back. These are powerful. Spontaneous casters again, but these are like spontaneous cleric casters. And again, they've added to the list yet again. So you see we have Oracle, Seeker, War-Sighted, Spirit Guide, Divine Herbalist, and Dual Cursed Oracle. Holy Jesus. I don't think you got a bad enough life, you got to dual curse them. Divine Herbalist, so that sounds like that can be pretty cool. But these other ones get like bloodlines. Basically called mysteries in this case. And of course, which one you pick dictates the free spells you get as well as some other stuff. associated with them. I did several builds. I'm fairly certain that's up on the YouTube still for some of these. I don't know if all of these are in here. Like, I don't remember Ancestor. I remember Battle. I don't remember Bones. I thought it was called Undead, but maybe it was called Bones. There's definitely Draconic. I remember that. Flame was definitely one. Life was definitely there. I don't remember Nature. Time. Time was a special one where you had to be an elf. So this looks like they've unlocked the ability for anyone to pick this one now, which is awesome. Because Time was really, really powerful. Ways was new and Wind is new, so those are new as well. So again, they've added even more mysteries, which, Jesus, guys, they've just done a ton for us. So again, some really fun stuff you can do with oracles. And again, know your spells, because not that once you pick them that you're stuck with them. I mean, that's true. You can kind of spec them out as you level up. But the point is know your spells, because you're going to get a limited number of picks. And what I would do is I would literally take a character that I don't care about, force level her to 20, see how many spells at each category of level 1 through 6 or 1 through 9 that I'm getting. Write that down. Say, oh, you're only going to get 6 of these, 5 of those, 2 of them, whatever. Write that shit down. Then make the build and keep that little list handy so that you can say, oh, I'm only going to get 5. Shit. All right, well, I got to be choosy here. I need this one. Got to have that one. Would love to have these 4, but I only can pick 3 more, so I guess we're losing you. And again, it really does help a lot. I can't stress enough the importance of pre-planning a build. Especially since this is not something like in pen and paper where you can just turn to your dungeon master and say, hey, turns out this spell, yeah, it's a piece of shit. Yeah, True Strike sucks. So you want to swap it out? Oh, please. All right, dude, I'll let you swap it out. What we'll do is we'll rip True Strike out of your spell book. So we're missing a page. And what we'll do is the next scroll that comes along that's level 1, I'll just let you scribe it for free. It'll be in your book. And that's, again, we'll just do that stuff on the fly. But you can't really do that in this game, or at least not very easily. So, again, knowing your spells, what you're going to pick, definitely important. Paladins, and those we got our typical Paladins here, but we even got a Sacred Servant. And before we go even into that, notice we also got Vindictive Bastard, a subcategory of Paladin, but it's its own class, and I'll show you that too. This is the one that they suggest for Valerie, the modder that may call the Wild. You can respec her, and she actually starts off as a Vindictive Bastard, because that's really what she is. If you know the lore of the character in this game, she was being trained to be a Paladin. She finally fell out of favor with her deity and basically decided that I care more about people and my teammates than I care about some stupid deity's rule. And that's what a Vindictive Bastard is. They still get some Paladin abilities, but not all. And they're basically a fighter-Paladin hybrid, as weird as that sounds. And same with the War Priest. The War Priest was the one for Harem. He's not a cleric, but he's very skilled at magical arts and fighting and all that. So War Priest made more sense because that's what a War Priest is. So they swap people all over the place around for your companions, which is kind of cool in my opinion. But the Sacred Servant, this one's new to me. What is this? The Paladins, as a general rule, venerate the gods of good and purity, but some take this a step further, dedicating themselves to a specific deity and furthering the cause of the faith. These Sacred Servants are rewarded for their devotion with additional spells and powerful allies. Looking awesome. Divine Bond. Holy Symbol. This is Spirit grants 1 additional bonus caster level to any Paladin spell cast. +1 to the DC to have the damage of channel positive energy when used to harm undead. It's basically the DC bump to your harm undead effect when you're trying to channel energy to hurt the undead. You're getting a bonus to the DC check. +1 channel positive energy. Awesome. +1 D6, excuse me. Restore 1 use per day of lay on hands. That's powerful. And I'm assuming other stuff besides. Call Celestial Ally. Oh, Mark of Justice. Holy Jesus, these guys are real badass. Kind of dig these guys. And you still got your Mercies. You still got your Smites. Maybe not as many as a traditional Paladin, but again, they're getting extra spells besides. So cool. I dig it. Psychic's totally new. Oh, Phantom. Again, just real quick. Again, I assume that these are part of, just like the Eidolon and the Animal up here, it's part of the Summoner or possibly the Spiritualist, which again, I don't know that. But again, they put it in there because people are going to be getting them and leveling them up as a pet or a teammate, so to speak. Psychics though, we got Psychic, Amnesic, Telepath, Esoteric, Starseeker, Mutation Mind, Psychic Marauder. Holy Jesus Christ, man, there's a bunch of stuff. And Psychics are spellcasters, but they're all psychic spells, I believe. So the list that you're going to get is going to be quite weird and definitely new, because this is not in the vanilla version of the game at all. Rangers. Ranger, Freebooter, Flame Warden, and Stormwalker are all normal. Divine Tracker now. What we got going on for you guys? Master Hunter. Doesn't look like anything different. Let's buy his DD. What the hell? Looks like there's maybe something with your favorite enemy choices. Okay, whatever. Blood Hunter. That sounds awesome. Serves the ultimate bounty hunters of the land. Ooh, now we're talking bounty hunters. That could be fun. I can see that being really cool. Rogues. Maybe some minor changes to your rogues, of course. But you notice that we have ninjas and rakes now. Ninjas, I believe, get Kai points. Yeah, Kai pool points. So very similar to a monk. This mod or another mod has merged the ability to merge your Kai pool points. So if you don't have it in this mod, like if you're trying to dip between monk and ninja, which is totally viable in my opinion. If you did that and you had two different Kai pool points and you can't use your ninja Kai pool points for monk stuff and vice versa, there's a mod out there that does it. I think it's part of the Call of the Wild, but I don't know that. So it's nice that some people have thought about that and said anything that's Kai pool points are interchangeable. You progress one, you progress the other kind of thing. So that's kind of nice. And they're really, really some good powerful stuff that you get to do with your Kai pool points, like instant teleport, which is again basically nothing more than Dimension Door for free. Well, using your Kai pool points obviously, and other stuff besides. Notice that they even have ninja tricks. We even have no trace of bonus to stealth. We got uncanny dodge and probably improved uncanny dodge, sure enough. We got advanced talents like a true ninja or rogue would. Sneak attack dies, of course, and your master strike and all that fun jazz besides. You don't get much in the way of finesse training, but 3 is more than enough. That's pretty badass. And then ninja tricks, I'm assuming, key off of your advanced talents. So once you finally get to this level, you can start using the advanced talents that are the higher version stuff. And that's pretty badass. That'd be definitely fun to play. Shamans are new. So Shaman, Speaker of for the Past, Overseer, Witch Doctor, Spirit Warden, Possessed Shaman. Ooh, Spirit Warden. That might be part of that Phantom thing. Anyway, these ones are, if I'm not mistaken, again, another one of those where it's kind of like a Cleric, but it's kind of like a Spontaneous Caster Cleric or Druid, for that matter. So that's probably what you're going to see in here is a lot of those types of spells that you can spontaneously cast, is my guess. Scalds are basically barbarian bards, as weird as that sounds. More of a death bard type thing where they're like inspiring rage everywhere they go and just like bloodlust and whatever, but they're kind of like a hybrid between the two. And again, a Scald, Urban Scald, Herald of the Horn, War Drummer, Court Poet, and the Sun Singer. Ah, fascinating. Channel Solar Energy. What the hell? I'm probably for fighting undead. That'd be badass. Slayers. I think this is in the vanilla version of the game, but I can't remember. Slayer Vanguard. Yeah, I think it is, because I think I remember the sneak attack. Vanguard, Deliverer, Spawn Slayer, Executioner, and Grave Warden now, so more, at the very least. More Sorcerers, no less. You got your Sorcerer, your Imperial Sorcerer, your Sylvan Sorcerer, your Sage Sorcerer. Pay attention to these ones, because this is the vanilla version of the game, too. Sorcerers, most are Charisma based. The Imperial is, I want to say, Wisdom. Let's see if it tells us this. Yeah, it delivers your heavenly power derives from insight rather than force of personality. Force of personality being charisma, your insight being wisdom. So this would be if you wanted to make a wisdom-based sorcerer, this is your guy. Sylvan, I think, might do that as well. I don't know that off the top of my brain. But that's how I would look at them. And then you would know, because the moment you get to the skills, if you see the plus next to the wisdom or the plus next to the charisma, you would know which one you're supposed to buff for your spells. But these are cool, and I like the Sylvan because you get the animal companion. So you literally get to have a little side buddy, like right at level 1. So if you want to feel like a sorcerer that has some real survivable soloing potential, Sylvan Sorcerer is amazing balls. Sage Sorcerer, this one's a little weird. Notice that sorcerers like Magus get a bloodline, and Arcane Bloodline being one of my favorite. That's still available here. Notice that the Sage Sorcerer is extremely similar to the Arcane Bloodline. Not quite the same. I think the Sage Sorcerer, yeah, uses your intelligence rather than charisma to cast. So if you want to be a wizard feel, but still, you know, with a high intelligence, but still cast like a sorcerer, like a Master Blaster character, this is Sage Sorcerer. This is the one you want. So this one's trippy. And again, it has a lot of the spells and a lot of the feel of the Arcane Bloodline, which came from Sorcerer. But this one would be straight up Charisma. Primal and Seeker, those are new to me, and again, I'll have to look into them. But again, sound pretty badass. Seeker Magic, look at this. When the Seeker applies a Med Magic feat to any bonus spells granted by his mystery, he reduces the Med Magic's feat by 1. Nice. That's pretty powerful. And again, pretty cool. Spiritualist, totally new set. Have no idea what this is all about. But again, definitely going to be fun. Look, based on the name of some of these things, it sounds like this is dipping into the, from D&D's perspective anyway, from Oriental Adventures, which I know is probably an inappropriate term to say these days. Apologize, but I'm just quoting the name of the damn adventures. But Oriental Adventures was D&D's, how do I explain this? It was D&D's way to incorporate more than just the knights. You know, most people, when they play D&D, they start thinking about, you know, Knights of the Round Table, wizards, and rogues, and stuff like that, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are like, well, I want to play a ninja. I want to play a monk. And that was way before we even had really good monks in D&D. And they opened up this whole world of, like, wizards that had wholly different spells. Like, you could throw, like, fire shuriken and all kinds of cool shit. So, again, this is what this feels like to me when I start seeing stuff like this. Summoner, again, have their own spells, have their own summons, and in many cases they have those eidolon. These little bastards up here, so that you continually upgrade. And I do not think, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think you can summon pets and have the eidolon out at the same time. So like you don't get to cast like your summon monster blah blah spells and have an eidolon there too. Because I think that's probably extra taxing for you. Or maybe the ones that can summon pets can't summon an eidolon. Maybe it's that. But I don't remember it being where you could have both. So that's a thing. But it's still cool. And it's another subcaster, I believe. I don't think they get up to level 9 spells. I think they get up to level 6. But it's still fun. And I could definitely have fun playing a summoner class. This is, to me, just like a specialist magus that went all crazy in on the conjuration side of things. Vindictive Bastard, again, this was the Valerie suggestion. Again, this is the paladin that said, fuck the deity, quite frankly, and I care more about my peeps. And they went all in crazy. They still get to keep like their smites, as you can see. And they get some random stuff. I don't think they get spells, though. I could be mistaken on that. But they keep a lot of the cool stuff that made paladins worth getting in the first damn place. Here's a fine example. Vindictive Bastard is one of the following as a bonus feat: Great Fortitude, Iron Will, or Lightning Reflexes. What happened to my charisma for all my saving throws? Because your deity hates you now, remember? So again, there's going to be some stuff here that's kind of trippy. But again, some really interesting things you can do with a Vindictive Bastard. Pardon the pun. that's fun in this game. War Priest, again, more of a battle cleric that doesn't get full caster progression. I think they get stuck at level 6 for their cleric stuff. But they'll feel more like a fighter who clerics than a cleric who fights. So definitely some fun to be had here. Witches, wholly new set. And again, for those of you that ever wanted to play a witch that had hexes, they are here. Notice even in the Magus, I didn't really emphasize this, but let me get back to show you. No, it's not in here. Where the hell is my... I thought there was a hex mage. Maybe I'm glitching out again and I'm missing it. That sucks. Maybe it's in here and you need to unlock it like it's part of the Eldritch Scion bloodline. Like a witch. Nope. I don't see it. I swear I played one the other day that had a hex ability built into it. Maybe it's like the Mind Blade or the Blood Rage or whatever. The point is that there was one. And it was using the witch ability. Was it the Spiritualist maybe? Shaman or Scald? Oh, Witch Doctor. Maybe that was it. Could have sworn it was a Magus though. Anyway, point is they have hexes now that they've added to the game. And for those of you that have never played with a character that could put out hexes, it's just nothing more than another spell-like ability, or a spell proper for that matter. But it's basically like a type of curse. And you can randomly hex targets and just straight up screw up their day, which is really, really nice because you can soften them up for either your spells or your teammates' spells or your teammates' attacks. Again, the typical crowd control type stuff, but like minus to their armor, make them clumsy so they trip all over their toes and shit like that. Just random weird hex stuff. And again, some really fun stuff. Hedge Witch, for those of you that ever watched The Magicians, you know what a Hedge Witch is. But again, same general principle here, but they're more of a healer and witch at the same time, so there's a little weirdness going on here. But this also opened up, because of this mod, opens up a retarded number of spells, which is really cool. And again, many of those spells are available now to wizards and sorcerers and down the line. Wizards added Exploiter Wizard, and it's the Spirit Whisperer. I don't even know what the hell those mean, but the Exploiter Wizard looks like it's Using the Arcanus exploits. Those are supposed to be pretty powerful. Those are the Arcanus stuff up way the hell up here. So again, pretty neat. Notice that there's going to be also some other glitches, not glitches, stuff you can't do, for example, and I may not say it in a tooltip. For instance, I don't think you can double dip between Arcanus and a wizard or Arcanus and a sorcerer. I think once you pick one, you can't pick the other. I could be mistaken on that, but feel free to check that stuff. Don't just assume, well, my point is, don't theory craft in your head, write it down, oh, I'm going to dip into this, do a little of that, like I did that once for Neverwinter Nights 2 back in the day, and without realizing it, I had myself an awesome character, I thought. When I went to make him in game, I realized I had actually dipped into 5 classes instead of, which included, of course, the prestige classes. But I dipped into 5 classes, which is not allowed in the game. You only have 4. And it can be 1 normal class like you have here, and then 3 of the epics, or the prestige, which are like these guys down here. Or just like 2 and 2, or 3 and 1, or 4 and nothing. So again, you can only pick 4 classes and then you're done. And I didn't realize that. And I had this massively awesome build, and I'm like, oh, and I got totally pissed and butthurt over it. But I should have pointed out that the prestige classes down here, they did add Hinterlander, which I believe is more like a wizard that specializes in like cold spells, I want to say. Did it say anything about the Hinterlander? No. And it won't let me click it as far as pushing it over here. Holy Vindicator, obviously something that's probably Paladin-esque. Mystic Theater is always there, Stalwart Defender is always there. So just a couple. But it's nice that they did such things. Now let's actually just make us a character. I'm going to go to the Megas because I want to unlock. No, I don't. I want to go Witch. I want to show you that there's some fun stuff that can be had. Notice that we have favorite class. Now either this was in my Eldritch Arcana or Call of the Wild, obviously. I can't remember which one gives this to us. And the reason I say it may have been in my Eldritch Arcana and I never saw it this entire time I've been leveling up is because I had all those extra mods on, which was glitching stuff out. So it could be a glitch that as well. So again, that's why I say I don't know who's giving me this. But I would assume Call of the Wild. The point is once you pick a class, pick your class here if you're going to level it up more often than not. And at every level, let's say I go Witch for 20 levels, I can rotate between hit points or skill ranks whenever I see fit. So at every level, I'm getting 1 hit point or 1 skill rank. And then you can switch out at the next level and get another skill rank instead. So I could hit, for example, I could end with 20 hit points or 20 free skills points or 10 and 10 or 5 and 15, however you want to mix and match. If you feel you're pretty weak, hit points are always nice. If you feel like you need extra skills, skills are extra nice. And this mod, by the way, dumbed down a lot of your skill points. So that's one of the reasons you will like the ability to pick skill rank, in my opinion. But you don't have to. Especially if you're going to be a specialist that's like, all I care is like athletics and perception, because I'm a strength-based fighter that I want to be able to perceive traps and I want to be able to do the athletics check because my strength is high. If you get 2, that's enough, then why would you ever invest in extra skill ranks at every level? That's just dumb. For Witch, you can see she's going to be an intelligence-based caster. Let's just start it off at 19. Let's make it assume that she needs to be some dexterous character. And I like having extra con. Good enough for me, good enough for government work. Got some extra skill points. Now let's get perception, even though it's not your favorite. Notice the laundry list of stuff that they get skill in. So definitely use Magic Device, definitely Knowledge Arcana, and I'm going to even unlock like Lore Nature to learn something about maybe burn potions and whatnot. From here, this is the other stuff that we really want to talk to you about. So this is going to be the next real long part of this video, guys. And again, I apologize, but don't watch this video if you didn't want to see this stuff. Notice that this is one of the reasons I love my Eldritch Arcana, because we have the access to drawbacks and traits. Pick a drawback and you get an extra trait when you get the traits. So we start off with 2, you can have 3. You can get additional traits, and again you'll get 2 if you take another drawback, which has to be from the other one you didn't pick. So either emotion once and physique once. Whichever one you didn't pick, you can pick it now, and then you get again another trait, so another 3rd trait. So you can get a total of 6 traits, which are pretty damn powerful. The drawbacks aren't exactly bad either. In many cases, you will see that some of them give you a buff. Some of them give you a penalty and a buff, and that's all you get. Some of them are just a straight up penalty. Here's an example. Penalty to your attack roll, but a bonus on your damage. But that's a massive penalty to your attack roll. I typically go emotion, envy, physique, hedonistic, because they're caster specific type ones, and they're not usually that bad. You can get around the problem, and it still gives you that extra trait. The other one that you really need to point out here is the You Were Cursed, though, from the physique one. This is one of the only ways in the game with mods to get, if you want available, the Undead Curse. If I have Urgathoa, which you'll see that I could pick a deity up here somewhere, you can pick Urgathoa as your deity. Downside is that limits you to what type of alignment you have based on Urgathoa's alignments. If you do that, though, again, this will unlock and you can make yourself an undead character. Boom, right off the bat. And an undead character does not use their con stat at all, which means you floor your con stat before you do this. And then you use those extra points to increase, say, your charisma. Why? Because charisma is how they get their HP and their fortitude check. And you are effectively undead, which means, again, you're vulnerable to all these things. And you have immunity or protection from a variety of other things that an undead would, which is pretty badass. Amazing if you're going to be any kind of a charisma-based caster. So think of your bards, your sorcerers, your eldritch scions. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting. But anyone that using charisma, hell, even just a straight-up scaled fist monk purist could be an undead monk. Maybe the monastery was cursed or whatever. They pissed on all your bones or whatever. They killed all your people, whatever. And you rose from the freaking boneyard to seek revenge on the ninja clan, or whatever you want for your own head canon. But you can justify making yourself a scale fist monk with a high charisma, high dexterity, and normally you'd have to have 3 stats really high. You'd have to have whatever stat gives you your armor, which is either charisma or wisdom. In this case, charisma. You'd have to have something that gives you high ability to hit. That's either strength or dex. Extra armor if you go dex again. So again, dex and charisma or dex and wisdom are solid choices. And most people want to be able to take a beating because you're going to be basically a brawler. You're not going to be armored up to the yin yangs, but you're going to have armor besides, thanks to all your defensive fighting and all that fun shit. But you still want to be able to take a punch to the snoot, so you usually go con. Well, now you got 3 stats. Let's say dex, con, and charisma. That's a lot of things to invest in. Even if you floor strength, intelligence, and wisdom, it's still weird build. So what people will do is they'll take an Undead Curse, floor that con stat, which you don't care about anymore, and your charisma's high, so is your dexterity. That's 2 stats now. That's totally doable in most builds. You'll be extremely tough, really good fortitude, really good dexterity, really good armor, and to be just mean son of a bitch. So an Undead Curse is quite powerful. There's some other ones in here. There's some that are so minor. Like, I'll show you Burned. You get to pick a category, okay? So if you do physique burned, notice that you have to say where you're burned. No, it's not burned. What is it? Foul brand. Sorry, foul brand. So you can be on the face, on the hands, or the leg, and depending on which one you get burned on, from this when you pick up this penalty, it affects a certain thing. Persuasion, if you don't care about persuasion, the -2. Even if you do care about persuasion, the -2 is not that bad. And that's for the face. For the hands, you get a -2 to any trickery checks. Are you doing trickery? No. Then this is a perfect one for you to take. It doesn't even penalize you because who cares about trickery if you don't unlock it. Don't like that one. Here's legs. It's a movement speed penalty. I'm not a fan of anything that slows me down. But again, you may change your mind, and maybe you have spells that make you much faster. So then instead of being a 25 runner like a human with this penalty, you cast like Expeditious Retreat on yourself, and suddenly you're up to like 55 feet per round, more than enough. So again, maybe this is not that big of a deal to you. And again, take the penalty. And if it thematically fits in your head, fine. But the point is there's a really good list here of both physique ones as well as the emotional ones. Highly recommend you look into them. But the stables for most people are envy for emotional. Physique would be either hedonistic or the You Were Cursed Undead Curse. Notice, by the way, the other curse that's over here is Witch's Curse. I've never tried it, but it says that randomly you will turn into a frog. I can't imagine you'd want that. But whatever, just saying, kind of weird. So again, I keep to the simple stuff. That I like money, so the fact that the hedonistic as well as the envy are tied to money. So look at, if you have enough money, the penalty doesn't exist. Same with this one here. If you have enough money, the penalty doesn't exist. So as long as you can deal with having lots of loot on hand, I always do, then we're fine with both of those. That's why we take those. On to traits now. This is your laundry list of traits, and they have added more again thanks to Call of the Wild. A fine example is equipment trait. Normally the family heirloom had a decent list, but not an amazing list. Look at it now. We got all kinds of shit here. Like we didn't have star knife and 2-bladed swords, I don't think, before it stopped at shurikens, I think. All these things are, I think, in the original, except for quarterstaffs. I know it wasn't in there, and I love me some quarterstaff action. You could have a real interesting not saying amazing, but interesting build for a sword sync that went quarterstaff. Again, quarterstaffs are monk weapons, so they only crit on a nat 20, so 19 to 20 is your best range. That sucks, but there's some really good quarterstaffs in the game. And a magus, specifically, anyway, any kind of magus that can wield a quarterstaff, they have a magus arcana that allows them to cast the spells from the quarterstaff as if they were the spells they were part of their spell book. What does that mean? Remember, magus can cast a spell with the right toggles on in combat and still attack. This is something you can't do with a quarterstaff. You cast a spell from the quarterstaff or a wand, for that matter, and it's considered a separate action. But there is a feat, keep calling it that, it's an arcana that unlocks the ability to use wands and staves basically in combat using your spell combat ability, which means you can cast the spell from the wand or the staff and then go back to attack. So with the quarterstaff having spells in them, many of the magic ones do, you can always use your staff to cast a spell and then smack, which I just thought was kind of cool. There's other stuff in here, though, that's pretty decent that they've added. Like heavy flail wasn't there before. Flail was. Notice that those are different. One-handed versus a two-handed weapon. They've added a lot of the dwarf itself. They've added Cold Iron Earthbreaker, Bola, and Blowguns. I didn't even know those existed in the game. Bardiche may not have been there before. Or Battle Axe, one of those two. But again, added a laundry list of stuff thanks to the Call of the Wild. So again, really cool stuff. And what this one does, if you pick it at level 1, you get the magic weapon +1. This is, again, something that we would have done pen and paper in the early stages of our games. And they go even a step further. For example, not only do you get the magic Bardiche, but you also have been training with it like all your life. So you already have a natural +1 to swing with it. And that's not weapon focus, that's separate. But it stacks with weapon focus. So again, at level 1, you get a +1 weapon, +1 skill with that weapon, so you're at +2. Presumably you're swinging with a high strength, so you get more pluses for that. Or if it's a weapon finessable weapon and you have weapon finesse and you have a high dex, you get more pluses because of that. So you can be swinging at a solid +5 at level 1, even higher, because you can unlock, say, weapon focus maybe at level 1. So again, you can have a really, really good swing for a level 1 character. And we would have done this in pen and paper, so I like that they've done that shit. Because no one wants to play a game, take the time to meet with all your friends and go over to their house. Remember when you used to do that shit? You go to the basement or whatever and you roll your characters up there. Maybe you're allowed to bring one pre-generated. Everyone would sit down, decide what they were going to play, roll up the characters for like the first half hour. We'd order some pizza, sit down, drink some soda. And when we finally fleshed out what we were going to do, you'd start the fucking game and everybody would fucking die within the first few encounters because everyone's swinging like a pansy. Fuck that. That's no fun. Why would you want to waste an entire weekend doing shit like that? Everyone needs to get to like level 2 or 3 just to, and even if you die, sometimes it happens. Like bad decisions happen. Jumping into the lava pit thinking that you'll draw their fire was probably a stupid idea. So, the DM's going to let you die. But they should try to steer you away from stupid shit that'll directly get you killed, like pissing off the orc chieftain or whatever, like pissing on his fucking flowers or whatever, and expecting that you and your team are going to walk away being the level 1 badasses that you are, because the orcs, I guarantee, give no fucks. So it's just very, very weird to play a character that sucks right from the get-go. Wizards and sorcerers and stuff, they have their spells. But by and large, anyone that's a melee or even a ranged attacker, like a bowman, should have some kind of decent skill with that weapon. Otherwise, why are you going out into the wild pretending to be a badass? Because you're clearly not. And you're going to get your ass handed to you. So when I see these builds where people are like, I got a strength of 14. Well, you're a dex-based character. No, my dex is 9. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Are you a wizard? No, I'm dumb as a box of rocks. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So you're a fighter. Yep. 14 strength. I put everything into con so I could take a beating. Good, because you're going to take a beating. Because, wow, that's just bad planning. But again, I kind of dig the traits for this reason and for stuff like this. And there's other stuff like a well-provisioned adventure. This is another thing that we may not have gone this route, but something similar where you gift them like a magic item or something and give them a masterwork weapon because Dad, he's so proud of you. You went and followed in his footsteps as an adventurer. So here's a masterwork composite bow, son. It took me all year of slopping pigs and whatever else to get it for you, but I know you want to be an adventurer, and here you go. I'm so proud, my boy. Go shoot some stuff, and you give you a matchwork composite bow. So some of this stuff you could totally understand getting, or maybe like the first monster you fell had this shit because he was about ready to die, like I said before. There's plenty of ways you can justify this shit. But some of these things, like specifically, you need to be real clear on these. You have to pick up at level 1. If you pick this up like Family Heirloom, I can pick this up as an additional trait at level 3, I believe. If I picked it up, I'd get the bonus to the swing. They would not give me the magic weapon because it's already beyond that point. You've already moved away from home. So think of it that way. So if you're at home, you're level 1 character, you're making your, even if it's a mercenary, you're making a level 1 character, pick up this shit now because they will give you the magic weapon or the magic gear. It'll be in your kitty now. Okay? After this point, there's no real good reason to go for this stuff. So that's really going to screw you. Be real clear on some of that stuff. Other stuff in here that's awesome. Notice that they even, oh, he took it out. There used to be a cheat trait category. And the cheat one was awesome. There was like a lot of good stuff in there, but they clearly took that away. That's a bummer. I notice we got a deity selection still now. Hexes for my witch. Look at that shit. And unavailable. Look at this. So this is the hexes I was telling you about a moment ago. Ameliorating, Beast of Ill Omen, Cackle, Evil Eye. You even got some good ones, you know, so you can be a good witch. So you got like healing and fortune and stuff. There's some weird stuff that you can do. Merc Sight. Remember I told you there's those cool spells of the obscuring mist and stuff so there's ways around it. This is an example. Which can see through natural or magical fog, mist, and rain without penalty, ignoring any concealment bonuses gained from such effects. So you can use her Merc Sight to let her stand in the cloud of obscuring mist, I think is what the spell's called. And she can see through it just fine, or Sleet Storm, and she can see through it just fine. Still attack and not have any real penalties. This is a powerful, powerful ability. And again, there's other weird stuff in here, like the ability to ward characters. And there's other ones in here that are like the Fortune one. No, there's one in here. Maybe it's down in the subcategory. There's one in here that behaves a lot like heroism, you know, like a buff spell. But it is a misleading one. You know, it probably says it in the goddamn name. Nope, don't see it. But there's one that you literally can like buff a person, presumably a teammate, and then because you're an evil witch bitch, you can like literally reverse the hex. So instead of being good luck, now they're at bad luck. It's kind of like a way to like, oh no, Sonny, come on, I'm doing, you're my champion. Here's a buff, and you buff them up, and they go out and they're like, I'm all badass. The witch has blessed me. They go out and start doing the damage. The witch is like, yeah, fucking hates you, and they turn it on its side, and instead of it being a buff, it's a penalty. It's kind of weird. I don't know how it would play in the game, but I would totally see that in pen and paper. And I kind of dig the hexes, man. The hexes have added a lot of fun. But not the only thing here to talk about. Again, deities. Notice that the deities, it doesn't matter what you pick, other than if you pick, say, Abadar, you are restricted to this alignment choice now. Be real careful on this shit. So if you literally, looks like there's even some restrictions here as well. Kind of cool. But again, the point is if you really want to be, say, a paladin, you need to be lawful good. So you really cannot pick a deity that is going to be anything other than lawful good. That sucks. Same with a monk. It has to be lawful something. So if you don't see at least one lawful category in here, here's all three, then you can't pick this deity and be a monk. That's the problem. So know that shit. But again, you get really good at picking that stuff. Again, it's why pre-builds are so important to me. Prove it to yourself that you can do the things that you think you can do. But again, you don't have to even pick a deity by skipping it. And same with all these traits, you can totally skip them too, which I think is a mistake. But you can, if you want to, go back and fill in more pen and paper, more vanilla version of the game. You're more than capable of saying, oh, nope, I just want to totally skip this. Like so. But I wouldn't. I really would take the equipment and the whatever. So again, on you, I'll just take a dagger, which is love daggers. There's some real fun stuff to have in here, and again, the mod has changed a variety of things. Like a fine example is race trait. Notice that everyone has access to Trifler, which is the grandma trait. Love this one. You basically were hanging out with Grandmama all the time, and as such, she was gifted in magical whatever. And when she died, she left here in her will 2 different rings: the ability to cast a blessed spell 3 times a day, and the ability to cast arcane missile 3 times a day, where it shoots 2 missiles at a whack. For a level 1 character, that's some power. This would be totally something that I would never give both of those to a main character. But one to you and one to your sister or whatever that's part of the team, that's different. Everyone gets one, right? So that I would totally split up. But I don't care. I still think that's an awesome update. And again, it's not game breaking. You're getting a blessed spell, which only lasts for 1 minute. And it's a +1 to swing, +1 to like your saves against fear. Ooh, ring a ding ding. Yeah, it helps the whole team. That's the point. Same with Magic Missile. It's only like 3 castings in a day, and it only shoots out 2 missiles at a time. The minimum damage is of 2. So you could shoot both at a 2 and get like 4 points of guaranteed damage. Again, it's not breaking the game at level 1, but it's giving you some extra oomph behind your wizardly abilities or whatever. And I think that shit's kind of cool. Just to move back through this stuff as fast as we can. Let's grab ourselves a Evil Eye. Sure, why not? Seems like a good witch thing. Notice that they get a familiar, and I think, yeah, they change familiar. See this? Once per round, instead of using an activatable item like wand, scroll, or potion, you can make your familiar activate this item. How you do this, I don't know. Instead of spending an action yourself, if activating an item requires a skill check or an attack roll, you make the corresponding check in place of your familiar, so that's nice. Same with like you use magic device. They will use yours. So you need to jack that up. If you need them to read a scroll, they can do so because your use magic device is high. And it's cool. I thought that was a nice addition if it works. I don't know that it does, but that's something of fun. And again, if I'm a witch, I'm probably getting like a viper or okay, what the hell? Let me pick the other ones, you dick. Or tarantula or rat, something similar. Something ugly and evil, because I'm a witch. That's what I do. We got patrons here. Agility patron grants witch the following spells: Expedition Retreat, Cat's Grace, Haste, Freedom of Movement, Polymorph, Cat's Grace, Mass Cat's Grace, Greater Polymorph, Cloak of Chaos, Shape Change. Notice we got a lot of spells in here that you never saw before. Ancestors patron, and all the way down. Oh my god, this could be so much fun. Oh, what kind of witch would I be? Death Witch. Raven Feedment, Blessing of Courage and Life, Boring. Animate that, Death Ward, Suffocation, Circle of Death, Finger of Death, wait, you got a circle before you have a Finger of Death? How the hell that makes sense? Death Clutch, Power Word Kill. Hell yeah. Don't give me that shit. That's all these down here. So just like the bloodlines that the sorcerers or the Elder Scion get, they get like a free spell at every level. So 1 through 9 is what I'm seeing here. And then that's cool. Feats. The last thing we really need to talk about here. Feats. Notice that again, because of the newest classes, you're going to see upgrades to like Feats because they have new mechanics like the hexes, like Cursed Hex, Split Hex, Amplify Hex, all that fun shit. Best way to do this is we'll do the show, the ones right now, and then we'll do the show unavailable, the ones you can't pick right now. So if you go through the list, let's see if I can point out the ones that are new. Arcane Strike has a new look to it, but it's the same one it's always been. Witch Knife, on the other hand, you empower your witch spells by incorporating the use of a special ceremonial knife during your castings, +1 to DC of all your patron spells. That's some of these things here. It's not bad. Make sure that your patron spells aren't just a bunch of random buffs though, because there's no DC check on those. So that's cool though. That could be fun. Notice we have Swarm Scatter. If it's got a color coded to it, then chances are it's a new one, because all the vanilla versions are these generic guys. But again, some of these also came from Elvish Arcana. Swarm Scatter, Teamwork Feat, new one. For each ally who has this feat and is adjacent, you get a +1 bonus to armor class. As long as you have this bonus, you are immune to the swarm attack and distraction ability of rat swarms. And I'm assuming any kind of swarm. That's pretty cool. Notice we have Steadfast Personality. That's a new one. Add your Charisma modifier instead of your Wisdom bonus on will saves against mind-affecting effects. If you have a Wisdom penalty, you must apply both the Wisdom penalty and the Charisma modifier. So if you have floored your Wisdom and jacked your Charisma through the roof, a -2 and a +5, you're at a +3. Still worth. I mean, that's a 5-point increase. This is still totally worth it. And you're probably going to focus on Charisma if that's your thing. Spell Vulnerability. This is again from my Eldritch Arcana. This is the one that allows us to take it. We get 2 feats for the price of 1 penalty. These are amazing. Look through those. Highly recommend it. But if that's not your thing, let's talk about other stuff. So, other things. Signature skill. Notice this. Shown available. There's 3 signature skills. If you have this much lore religion, you get this ability. You get this much intimidate or persuasion, you get this ability. Very powerful, by the way. Mobility, this much mobility, and again, not 5 total to mobility, 5 points invested in it. Make sure we're real clear on this. So if your mobility says you got 5 mobility, yeah, but did you put 5 points in it? No, then you don't have enough for this yet. But by picking this up, this will give you. Notice this one. You do not provoke attacks of opportunity when you're standing back up from being prone. So if you have a character that's constantly being knocked on your butt, This is an amazing feat for you to pick up, because that shit sucks, yo. Think of it like, I think of this would be like the ninja kip up, you know, where you like you knock down your ass and you rock back onto your shoulders and pop up to your feet like instantly, so fast that they can't possibly attack of opportunity. Now, that's cool. Intimidate. This is a nice bonus to your shaken and frightened conditions. So really nice. Notice that if you get even more persuasion, you can increase the state. So for like a Cornigan Smash build, this could be super powerful. For the healer type in you, they added other features to the game. For example, it used to be you had, if you invested in religion at all, they give you an ability called Treat Affliction, which means if someone's been poisoned or diseased, for example, you can click on them with that ability. It's not a spell, but it's an ability, one use a day ability. You click it on a person, whether you pass or fail the check based on your lore religion, you could strip away the poison. You could strip away the disease. You couldn't cure the penalties. So like if they already took like -6 to their dexterity or whatever, that shit was still there. But they're no longer poisoned. Okay? But that was dumb. I mean, sorry, no, that wasn't dumb. That was useful, but they didn't give you the ability to heal people with like bandages. And that would still be a thing. Why would you just rely on spells to heal people or potions? So they gave you the ability to heal people too. So you can either heal them with your signature heal ability, or you could treat their affliction, one or the other. So again, if someone just took damage once a day, you have the ability to try to patch them up. And I thought that was cool. And this skill gives you more patching up ability, so to speak. And notice that we even got ability damage that you can cure using this now, which is pretty badass. And I thought that was kind of neat. And then, what other stuff do we have? No. That was all new. Peg leg was from Eldritch Arcana Mod. This is the penalty to your movement, but if you pick this instead of spell vulnerability, notice that you can be either frail or have a peg leg or have spell vulnerability. Well, not two, but only one of these. If you take this as a penalty, you move even slower and you have a penalty to your initiative, but this would give you 2 feats for the price of 1 penalty. I would never want a peg leg, but if I was role-playing like a pirate, totally could get into that shit. Notice all different meta magics, color-coded no less. And if you see 2 of the same, one color-coded, the color-coded one came from Call of the Wild. The other generic one came from Eldritch Arcana. But they should both work. I would test it, but keep that in mind and write down which one you have. Because if you say, oh, persistent doesn't work, well, which one did you grab? Oh, I spec'd out of it before checking. Well, if you wanted to check the other one, you should probably write down, oh, I had the colored one. That one's working fine. Oh, I tried the generic one. It was working like shit. So, no, then you wanted the colored one, for instance. So, always check that stuff. And I would always save before doing a level up, especially when I'm grabbing new feats like this. But this is the reason I'm pointing this out, is because this is the amazing one that people always wanted from Magus. Was always missing. And I was reading on the forums and I'm like, what is this? Because everyone's like bitching about how in the vanilla version of the game you didn't have Intensified. And it was the meta magic for Magus. Specifically, it was like the meta magic to take. And I'm like, why? What's the big deal? Now I know what the big deal is. Take a 5d6 spell, best case scenario, with a Shocking Grasp that you channel through your weapon. If your weapon crits, it crits, doing 10d6 of damage. Well, if you intensified that spell when you had enough levels, it was already doing 10d6 of damage. And if it critted, now it's doing 20. That's a level 1 or level 2 spell, depending on how you do it, doing 20d6 of damage on a crit. That's a monster spell. And now I see why people were like, oh, I missed this. Yeah, you really did, because holy shit. Now you have it thanks to either of these mods. And again, lots of really good ones. Elemental focused stuff. We got ones that can allow you to change the damage to elemental damage of your choosing. If you want to turn like your fire spells into acid spells, for example. Or if you want to turn your fire or electric spells into cold damage, or whatever. This is what these are about. And the dazing ones, and so on and so forth. Notice like other stuff like Mage's Tattoo, one of my personal favorites. Sorry, I need a little drink of coffee. Mage's Tattoo is amazing for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is if you have spell focus and you're dipping outside of your class, where you have a like Dragon Disciple, for example, where you lose some spell casting progression, but you know you're going to be focusing on, I don't know, Conjuration, because they're good spells to have. Okay, well, if I did a 10-10 split, which is my typical for like say, Eldritch Scion, Draconic Bloodline, and then a Dragon Disciple, 10-10 split means I'm finishing at caster level 17. But if I took Spell Focus and Conjuration, and Mage Tattoo for Conjuration, obviously, then it would be casting at level 17 my other spells, 18 caster level for my Conjuration spells. And maybe that's enough for me. Maybe that's a breaking point. Or maybe you took like Eldritch Knight, a 10-10 split for Eldritch Knight. Nothing wrong with that. You finish instead of caster level 20, you'll finish at caster level 19. Maybe you wanted that special something shows up at 20 or at 19 or whatever. And again, this gives you one of those levels back. That might mean like an extra Hellfire Ray or extra sneak attack damage or whatever. Point is sometimes that extra caster level is really, really powerful. And you can get more than one Mage Tattoo. You just need to have more than one spell focus as well. And of course you need to be able to invest multiple feats, because Mage Tattoo, you can't pick 2 for the price of 1. You have to do Mage Tattoo like Evocation, then pick Mage Tattoo and get like Necromancy. So you'd have to burn up extra feats to do it. But still definitely cool. Notice, again, there's our Frail. And that's just like, just to show it to you. Low HP, and you basically are going to constantly be healing poorly, I want to say. Health is not so great, so you have -1 save versus disease. Wow, that's even worse than I thought. Notice, remember we talked about our favorite class? I told you to pick the class that you're going to be mostly. Notice that that does not include your prestige class. Well, say if I wanted that 10-10 split for the Dragon Disciple, well, for those 10 levels of the Dragon Disciple, I'm not getting to choose between HP or skills, right? Well, that's why you grab favorite prestige, and there's 2 reasons I bring this up. 1, because that's cool, especially like if you're doing like Eldritch Knight for 10 levels or Arcane Trickster for 10 levels, that's common. This would be a way to get those HP or those skills back. But I mentioned it for another reason. This will break your game. If you do not pick this before you get your first level in that whatever, not on the first level, like when you level up, let's say I'm going 6 levels of Sorcerer and of Draconic Bloodline, and then at level 7 I'm going to unlock Dragon Disciple. At level 7 I cannot pick this for Dragon Disciple. It will break the game. So I would have to pick it before, like level 5. Okay? Be real careful on that shit. That's again why I say always save, always test. When you see that test, don't just assume it's broken. Say, well, that didn't work because it caused my game to crash. Is there something else I could have done? Oh, what if I grabbed it sooner? Sure enough, yes, it's kind of wasteful, because why would you pick it at level 5 if you're not Dragon Disciple yet, or Eldritch Knight yet, or whatever? So you can see how people would be like, I'm not going to do that. And again, that's on you. But this is a reason why you test this stuff, because that is kind of powerful. And more than just that, not only can you pick these things here, but read the tooltip here again. Not only do you get your HP or your skill, like always, as you level up for this particular one, like Dragon Disciple, let's just say. There's also, once you get to your very first level, they'll give you something free, like a skill bonus or some shit. So again, look for that shit. Again, it's going to be different for each one. I can't tell you what they are, but again, that's kind of cool. Extra hexes a day, or not extra hexes a day, sorry, different types of hexes. Notice we have Distracting Charge, color-coded, so definitely different teamwork feat. There's another really good one in here, though. Bonded Mind is a new one, another teamwork feat. Artful Dodge, so this is the one I was thinking of. Watch this. For all those builds where you like, you're a strength-based character, but you always want to dodge, but you can't get it because you can't get 13 dexterity. And it would be too expensive to invest that many points into dex where you're not going to care about dex. But maybe you're like a strength-based intelligence something or other. Well, this is Artful Dodge. It gives you the equivalent of basically dodge against one opponent and one opponent only. So if like you're fighting 2 guys, you don't get dodge. But if you're threatening, if you're the only character threatening one opponent, you get Artful Dodge. You get a +1 to your dodge. Basically the same as dodge. But keep reading. Artful Dodge feat acts as the dodge feat for purposes of satisfying the prerequisites for that require dodge. You can use intelligence rather than dexterity for feats that require a minimum dexterity prerequisite. That shit's power. So now think about what that means. Low dexterity, but high intelligence, and you want a 2-weapon fight? Well, you need a dexterity of 15 to get the 2-weapon fighting, and then you need a dexterity of 17 to get improved 2-weapon fighting, and then you need a dexterity of 19 to get greater 2-weapon fighting. But I don't want to be a dex-based blah blah. I want to be an intelligent smarty pants. Get yourself Artful Dodge, and that unlocks that ability now. So as long as you're a big-ass smarty pants, suddenly you have access to all those kick-ass feats now. Doesn't mean you're going to be an amazing attacker. It's just saying that you have access to those feats, and that shit's cool. I love how they added those things. Amplified Hex. Additional traits, like we said, a cursed hex, notice. Let's go back now here to the unavailable. Oops. There we go. Give me a second here. I don't like this pop-up menu on the side. It's confusing me. Let's go to Witch's Knife. There we go. Now, scroll down. Okay. Wings, again, this was in the vanilla version of the game, I believe. If not, it came from Elvish Arcana Mod for sure. But you have to be an Asimur and level 10, and then you can suddenly unlock it for a feat. Definitely powerful. I always recommend you keep your wings on. Weapon of the Chosen, this is a new one. Weapon specialization, weapon shift for wild shape abilities. That's new, I believe. Vicious Stomp, this one's fun. Improved Unarmed Strike, combat reflexes to unlock it. Whenever an opponent falls prone adjacent to you from like a trip ability, that opponent provokes an attack of opportunity from you. This attack must be an Unarmed Strike. So if you're monking it up and you're tripping guys on purpose, like you're doing your sweep the leg, Johnny, and then as soon as you sweep the leg, you stomp on his skull. Just love the idea of what this would mean in the game. Pretty cool. Versatile Channeler, Unhindering Shield, a lot. I'm not going to go over everything here, but again, you can see you have a lot of cool shit that they've added. One of my favorites, though, I want to show that to you. It's a strength-based upgrade. Akin to the Artful Dodge, where it's taking your intelligence instead of your dex modifier. There's a really good one for two-weapon fighting. Blooded Arcane Strike. This is for the Blood Rager. You know, Arcane Strike likes to shut itself off. A Raging, it's assumed to be on automatically, which is fucking tits. And now it suddenly works with like Vital Strike, Improved Vital Strike, or Greater Vital Strike to crit. To increase the damage potential. Normally it doesn't work on that. Now it does. That's actually pretty cool. Because remember, that could be up to another +5, double, triple, or quadruple. So +5 goes into +10, going to +15, going to +20. So that's pretty impressive. Just saying, if you went that route. Broken Wing Gambit, Bullseye Shot. Watch this one. You can spend a move action to steady your shot. Something that we would totally rule in the game was the thing. When you do, you gain a +4 bonus on your next range attack before the end of your turn. Just a solid. I'm going to focus on that son of a bitch. All right, take it steady. Shoot. Cautious Fire was always there. Channel Smite was always there, I believe. No, it wasn't. This is new. Oh, they give you the ability to smite now. That's kind of cool. Channeling Scourge, Cleave, blah, blah, blah. Where is that damn thing? You got your fighter stances. Now, they've added no more fighter styles, by the way, too. So not only do you have your Crane Wing, Crane Style, Crane Riposte, the Dragon stuff, too. And Pummeling as well. There's another one in here. Let's see if I can find it. Here's Crusader's Fury, though. Or Flurry, excuse me. You can use your Deities weapon, favorite weapon, as if it were a monk weapon. Oh, my! That's cool. Oh, son of a bitch. Sorry. Give me a moment here, guys. Think what we're saying here. Okay, if you wanted to take a Paladin dip, and you had to pick a deity, and then, of course, your lawful good, which means lawful still good for a monk dip. You do a monk dip. What's your favorite deity, your weapon's favorite weapon? Maybe it's a scimitar. That's the best crit range in the game, 18, 19, 20. The only way it's better is if you improve critical it, or if you find a keen weapon version of it, which again, you can totally do. And now that's a 15 to 20 crit range. And now you get Flurry of Blows added on top of that shit, so you can get an extra attack around. Oh my god. That would be fun. I get all Eldritch Scion, Pally dip, and a Scale Fist Monk level 1 dip with this feat. Ooh, ooh. Oh, the funs we can have. Dazing Assault, Deadeye's Blessing. Use your Wisdom modifier instead of your Dexterity modifier on range attack rolls when using a bow. That's pretty cool. That one, I think it's free for the Zen Master Monk. Dervish Dance twice. Again, both mods added it. Notice one requires a base attack bonus of 1. The other one requires a persuasion of 2. So there are differences. I can't tell you which is the right one. This is the one I've been using. This is the one probably from Call of the Wild. Devastating Strike, Discord, all kinds of good stuff here. Here's your Dragon style stuff. That's nothing really different there. But there's a, man, I feel like I missed it already. There's a strength-based, I'm not, alright, strength, am I? No. There's a strength-based feat where, well, I think it might be P for prodigious. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah. Prodigious 2-weapon fighter. Strength of 13 minimum. Just like for that Artful Dodge where it's taking your dex requirements is replaced now by intelligence. Watch this. You may fight with a one-handed weapon in your offhand as if it were a light weapon. So think a longsword. Normally you wouldn't do that because it's a massive penalty to your swing. And then keep reading. In addition, you may use your strength score instead of your dex score for purposes of qualifying for 2-weapon fighting. So if you don't want to go Dex 15, 17, 19, which is a lot of investment, but you want to be a strong, like, Barbarian guy, a strength of 15, 17, 19 is something you're probably going to do anyway. So now you can 2-weapon fight, improve 2-weapon fight, and greater 2-weapon fight if you pick those feats. If you pick this feat first. This is a powerful, powerful upgrade. But again, I just wanted to show you that there's other stuff like that in here as well. There's also Guile is a nice one. Persuasion and dodge. When you're fighting defensively, you're using the total defense action or combat expertise. That's the intelligence one. Select one opponent. Add your charisma bonus to your AC as a dodge bonus against the opponent's melee attacks until your next turn. You cannot use this feat if you cannot see the selected opponent. That could be powerful for like a charisma-based caster monk dip motherfucker. That's a way big bonus to your armor. And that may not work with monk dip though, because if you did like Skeleton's monk, you already got that charisma bonus to dodge. But it'd be worth trying out. And that'd be cool. And this would be a way to get this without having to go monk dip. That's probably what this is in here for. Oh, I'm finding all kinds of cool stuff in here today, guys. Here's the other style I was telling you about. One of Learnable style, Learnable Vengeance, Learnable Wrath. Again, monking it up in different kind of ways. Of course, you still have your pummeling strikes, whatever the hell it was called. Yeah, pummeling style, pummeling charge, and pummeling bully, which I never do, but they're actually really good, by the way. There's another one in here too. I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called. Yeah, jabbing. Jabbing dancer, jabbing master, jabbing style. When you hit a target with unarmed strike and you have hit that target with an unarmed strike previously that round, you deal an additional 1d6 points of damage. So it's like extra sneak attack, but not really. Just boop in the snoot. Keep reading. Dancer and master. Master's at 12. This one's at 9. So jabbing dancer would probably be the next one you'd pick up. If you hit an opponent with an unarmed strike while using jabbing style, which you have to have on, you receive a plus 10 bonus to your mobility until the end of the round. Yay. Jabbing master, on the other hand, when using jabbing style and extra damage, the extra damage you deal when you hit a single target with 2 unarmed strikes increases to 2d6, and the extra damage when you hit a single target with 3 or more unarmed strikes increases to 4. Now we're talking. Jabbing master, just duking it up. In the face, son, in the face. Again, you see what I'm going with here, though, is there is a metric shit ton of stuff that they've added. One of my other favorites includes your Eldritch Heritage as well as improved Eldritch Heritage. Let's actually read this one. Where's my Eldritch? Look at all the extra stuff they've added, too. So, extra Spell Synthesis, extra Shaman Hex, extra Revelations, extra Reservoir, extra Rage Power, Scald, extra Rage Power, extra Rage, etc. and so forth. Just an amazing amount of stuff. Now I want to see that Eldritch Heritage. This one's one of my favorites, being that I played this type of character. A charisma-based caster in Magus, for example. Elder Scion, to be specific. Notice this stuff. If you don't have one of these things, stop that. Let's say you picked the Draconic Bloodline, one of my favorites. Okay? You picked the Draconic Bloodline, but you always felt like you really wanted the Arcane Bloodline. Arcane Bloodline had so many cool things and free spells and blah, 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 blah. But I want Draconic because it gave me cool stuff. Or maybe I wanted Abyssal because it gave me extra strength. But I really want Arcane, so I went Arcane, but now I missed that extra strength. You can get that extra strength by going Eldritch Heritage, Improved Eldritch Heritage, and Greater Eldritch Heritage. Those 3 feats. It's a big investment, but watch what you need. Charisma 13, check. Charisma 3, or character level 3, no problem. That's Eldritch Heritage. And then go to Improved. Scroll down. Improved Eldritch Heritage. The next one. Charisma 15. Again, you're going to be casting spells at level 6 or higher. 6 if you're an Eldritch Scion, higher if you're playing a sorcerer, for example, which could get this totally too. You definitely want a charisma of 15 or better anyway, so that's no problem. Character level 11, you're going to be a level 11 character at some point, so boom, no problem there. And then Eldritch Heritage, again, if you wanted the improved version, you have to get the original, no problem. And it gives you the stuff that you could have got, you get to choose. Something that they would have gotten at level 3, something they would have got at level 9. One of those things that could have been the extra strength. And again, it progresses like normal. So let's say if it's the level 9 extra strength one, remember it's like plus 2 to strength at 9, and then at 13, and then at 17 or something like that, right? So again, you would get the plus 2 to strength, then you get another plus 2 to strength, then you would get the other plus 2 to strength. You would finish with a plus 6 strength from going this route. So while you may say, why would I want to waste precious feats, which of course they are precious, on something like this? Well, did you want +6 to your strength or didn't you? God damn it. What do you want from me? It's here. It's an option. Pretty damn cool. Same with reverse. If you go with the improved Eldritch Heritage, say you started Abyssal, but you're focusing on your Eldritch Heritage on, say, the arcane stuff, like the free spell picks. You missed those. Maybe you wanted them. Those are some powerful free spells, especially if we're talking Magus now. The Eldritch Scions get screwed. Remember, they got sorcerer-type spells as far as limited picks. They can't scribe to their spell book, so they don't have like a massive list. So getting 1, 2, 3, or 9 altogether free spells taken away from you because you don't have the arcane bloodline, that shit sucks, yo. And maybe you can get them back going this way. I'm not saying they all work, so I would, again, pre-build your character, test that shit out, prove that it works. Make sure you have all the requirements, because some of these will not work right, by the way. I can't remember which ones I've tested, but I know that there are ones that do not work and ones that work just fine. And then, of course, if you need the ultimate, the greater Eldritch Heritage, the level 15 upgrade, whatever that was for the, spoiler alert, for the Arcane Bloodline, that's the +2 to your spellcasting DC of a specific school that you pick. That's basically the equivalent, for this 1 feat here, is the equivalent then for you if you want the Arcane Eldritch Heritage Bloodline. You will be getting a spell focus and greater spell focus. That's 2 feats basically for the price of 1. Yeah, you needed 2 more feats before, but it gave you stuff too. So again, it's not like you screwed yourself. You still got plenty of bang for your buck here. I'm just saying that if you plan it right, these are really, really powerful. Now, I know this video's gone on plenty long enough, but I hope this illustrated, though, what mods can really bring to the game. For those of you playing on consoles, hey man, it sucks to be you. I am sorry. Please don't flame me in the comment section how this doesn't help you one bit, because this wasn't for you. They will specifically have mods in the title. That should be clear that it wasn't for you. If anything, it should convince you that you should be part of the PC Nation, in my opinion, and get yourself a badass one. I mean, it's about to be, was it Black Friday? We're coming up on that real quick. You can probably find yourself, like I did, a very good PC for $1,500 or less that does the job well. And I honestly, I can't imagine you'd want to stay console when you have the power of a solid PC with a really good graphics card already built into it, with a really huge access to games that you didn't have access to with the console. PC is almost always, in my opinion, the way you go for gaming. Not always, but most always. And the fact that you can online game easier than you can with a console. I know they've unlocked the ability for consoles to do that. It's still lackluster. I mean, let's just say it. And the fact that you get mods and you can use mods because of PC really adds a whole new level of gaming experience, in my opinion. For example, just to illustrate my point one step further, I looked at this game earlier today. I played it in offline mode because my internet went down, and I can totally do that. Steam popped up and it said, Steam's not available. You want to play in offline mode? Yes, please. And I started playing the game. When I logged back in, when the internet was working again, I had to log back into Steam and specifically click this game to update it and say, I want to play some more. And it told me while I was doing that, there's just like a little pop-up there. It said, the last time you played this game was yesterday, whatever. And it also said the total amount of hours I've played this game. Now I know some of it's part of this crap here right now is counting. But I had over 2,000 hours in on this game, just to put that into perspective, okay? And some of this comes from the fact that I've been replaying it because I have mods. The game feels completely different compared to when I got it a year ago. Even with them patching stuff and fixing stuff as fast as they did, and they did an excellent job. Love you guys, Owlcat, you guys are amazing. But with mods, like I said, I can totally play this game with another lawful good character again and feel like I'm doing something completely different and totally feel immersed in the game all over again. And I dig that shit. And I think that mods really do increase the replayability of many games. Highly recommend you guys get a PC if you don't have one. And again, if you don't, it's not horrible. Your game by itself is still fun. And you can learn stuff from most builds, in my opinion, even if they are modded. But it really does suck when you see that I can be undead and you can't. Well, that's not true. For instance, let's just finish this character off without just grabbing random shit. Yeah, sure, I want all those things. And again, spells, new spells, all kinds of new spells. And again, I'm not going to go over that because it would take forever for me to show you every new spell. I just want to get into the game.
Quick! Wherever my leg.
Just to show you something real quick in Bag of Tricks. One, I say that there's two ways to make yourself an undead character, besides the fact that Jaethal is already undead for you. Okay, so not counting that. I mean, your main character, or even a mercenary, or any of your companions for that matter, and you want to make somebody undead, you can do that in the vanilla version of the game. I just want to show you how that happens. Okay, so there is Bag of Tricks, and you can't do this because, again, I have mods. You don't if you're playing in the console. But if you go to items and equipment, and I search for a specific type of headwear, limit my choices, type in A, there is a hat, or like a face mask than anything, that makes you undead. Outstarred head. Nope. Dead Man's Hat, that's gotta be it. Morbid Stairs, another one that's good, but it's not as good as Dead Man's Hat. Dead Man's Hat's kind of the upgrade. And if you look at it, this is in the game. This is something you can find. Notice when I put it on, A, I got a fucking skull for a face now. But B, my con goes to nothing, and my health is now based on my charisma. So if I wanted more HP, if I gave myself more charisma, that would work. Let me give you an example by going here, and I'll give myself a cloak of Striggoy's Embrace. Then something else that's found in the game. +8 to charisma with that cloak, as well as a free spell a day. But it's the +8. Notice that my health went up. Notice that my fortitude went up. Why? Because I'm an undead creature. Undead creatures base off charisma. Now, while you could do this in the vanilla version of the game, nothing wrong with that. It is in there. You can find it. I'm not going to tell you where. You can Google it, figure it out for yourself. But normally, when you do this, you would want to have a con of like 5 or 7, something so incredibly low that the extra points that you stole from it, you invested elsewhere. That's the whole point. So it kind of sucks, because if you wanted to do this in the vanilla version of the game, you would probably make yourself a subpar character, and you would suck for a long time until you found that hat. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but I ain't going to do that shit. So that's why I say it's nice that I have the mod. The Undead Curse from the traits from Eldritch Arcana alone make that mod amazing. And again, that's why I like mods. So again, I want to beat a dead horse here. We've gone on for about 2 hours here. But this, for those of you, and specifically you, Dark Magic, that wanted to see mods and kind of get a feel for what mods can bring to the table. For just the ones that I'm using and the ones that I've dipped into, they are quite cool. They are very fun. They add a very unique flavor to the game that you can pick and choose what you're using from them. You don't have to use all the features. One last thing really quick to show you here is when you're in the game, this is how you pop up your menu for Bag of Tricks, but notice that I can look into other ones like Call of the Wild. There might be something in here that I can unlock, or Elvish Arcana. Notice that there's stuff that I can turn on, shut off, whatever. That's what this little thing is letting you know. And again, one of these in here, I want to point it out to you. Features incompatible with Call of the Wild. Turn off, that's what off is, for compatibility, Call of the Wild 1.57 or higher. If changed, require start. So if this was already checked, and you put on Call of the Wild and you're finding that it's glitching out, turn this thing off, save, close, log off the game, start back up. Every time you shut this off too, same general principle. Shut something off like, oh, maybe the highlight Learnable Scrolls is fucking up some of my game. Shut this off, save it, close it, log off, log back on, and now it's officially off. Okay, don't just shut this off, put save and close and think you're good. No, you have to literally log off the game and log back in. And again, it should be off at that point. So that's how you triage stuff. That's how I found out that Fumai's Codex was fucking up my Call of the Wild, where I wasn't getting, matter of fact, it was also fucking up Eldritch Arcana. I wasn't getting traits, and I wasn't getting many of my classes like Arcanus, Blood Rager, all those guys. Many of them are gone. Some of the new ones were still there, weirdly. So again, it's odd in that some work, some don't. And again, I can't tell you what it does. That's why it's just better that if you're doing that, someone gave me the best advice ever. Shut off all the ones that you don't want or don't care about right now. Start turning on the ones you do want. I want to Call of the Wild, it's working fine. I added highlight Learnable Scrolls, it doesn't seem to be a problem. I added Eldritch Arcana, so far so good. So again, doesn't seem to be an issue, same with Bag of Tricks. So that's the ones I'm probably going to keep too for the time being. But with that, that's all I really wanted to tell you guys about mods. It's not all inclusive, but again, just another reminder. If you're looking for mods, as far as I know, the best way to find them is Nexus. That's Nexus. Just Google that and say Nexus Pathfinder, enter, and it'll take you to the direct page for Pathfinder. There's mods for all kinds of other games there too. Pathfinder's one you want. And there's tutorials in there as well as on YouTube for how to put mods into your game, how to download them, etc. and so forth. Highly recommend you look up those things. But with that, my name is Brother Newt. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what mods you guys are using. Is there glitches that you guys are finding? Did you find a way to get that blood conduit ability to work? Because it doesn't work for me and it's really starting to bug me. But with that, I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.